All right, very good. We're ready. Okay, I want to welcome everyone for the Wareham Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight's agenda, May 12th, 2021. It is 6:30 p.m. And apparently we're on Zoom meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order, make a roll call. I'll start with our clerk, Jim Akabachi.
Yes.
Rick Sample.
Yeah.
Veronica Debonese.
Present.
Chris Conti.
Here.
And Jake Morrison.
Here.
All right. I don't see everyone on the screen, but let's see how it goes. I only see Chris. Sonia, can you put everyone?
They're all showing, Naz. They're all shown on my screen.
You may just have to change your view settings on the top right-hand corner, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Get that. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Also, okay, very good. Also, we have present town engineer consulting, independent consulting, Mr. Charles Rowley. And let me see if our commissioner here, Mr. Aquino, he's not in.
He will not be in today.
All right. Okay, very well. I guess we don't have preliminary businesses, so we'll start with the continued public hearings. 2-21 TGCI Manica, the comprehensive permit 40B settlers grant. All right, public hearing still open. Who we have, Mrs. Sweet?
Hello, good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
Lynn Sweet, LDS Consulting Group. I'm joined here by our civil engineer, I believe Brian is, I don't know if he's still trying to connect in. Our 40B attorney, Attorney Mark Bobrowski, and Scott Blagden on behalf of the owner. I believe that a couple matters that we're hoping to cover tonight is we received a peer review comment letter from the town's consultant yesterday. And Brian has prepared a response to that. I think there were 3 items that he worked on, and he submitted plans within the last day addressing those comments. And other than that, I think we were hoping to go over the comp permit conditions or answer any questions you had on the comp permit conditions. We did get a number of comments in, I believe, from Judy Barrett that we accepted on the document, and I think there was really just one open issue. So if it pleases the chair, I can have Brian bring up his new plans and go through the couple changes.
Okay, very well. I did, before we jump to Mr. Grady, I did review the draft decision on condition on number 5, conditions number 5, or on the procedural history you wrote, or whoever wrote it, I guess Attorney Bobrowski. On where the board's consulting civil engineer, you comment that Mr. Rowley had conducted visit and the meeting would get together about a few weeks ago. That you show on the letter that Mr. Rowley's findings on all these things, the only one can do the finding is the board, not Mr. Rowley. Do you understand?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Mark Bobrowski for the applicant. And I recommended that we just change that to say the board rather than Mr. Rowley. So that would be my recommendation.
Well, it's going to have to be, because the only one has the authority to do the findings and the granting of the finding or do the finding is the board. All right. I want to jump quick to Mr. Rowley. He had some comments and he paid my attention on that matter. Charlie, are you okay with what Councilor Bobrowski said?
Yeah, so long as they come from the board and the board is comfortable with the statements. I
Right.
think we have to
So-
conclude that you're in agreement with the statements. But I don't think it's appropriate that my name would be ascribed to them.
Right,
If I might, Naz,
yes,
I think I read the same matter, and I think Mr. Crowley is referenced in two different locations. In the first location, I believe they're referencing that Mr. Crowley made these comments. It didn't say that the board accepted them. And then further in, anything that the board may or may not approve come under, they still referenced Crowley, and I think that's where, if in fact the board approves them, it should say the board has adopted, not that, they called them the Rowley conditions, and they would be the board's conditions. I agree with him on the second use of it. On the first use of it, I understand they were just referencing those were recommendations by him.
right, but the determination of findings will be by the board, as long as
Correct.
that's it properly. That's
Correct.
what matters.
It's
All
always
right.
it's always my custom, Mr. Chairman, to, when I'm drafting it for the board or as the board's lawyer, or whether I'm submitting that on behalf of the applicant, to make sure that the peer reviewing engineer has an opportunity to say whatever he wants to say. But ultimately, you are correct. It is the board's condition, not Mr. Rowley's. But just a courtesy that I wanted to make clear in leaving him a place to make his comments. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, So,
Thank you.
so I did bring up condition 5, which we can now say the board reviewed the applicant plans and specifications and
Okay, I'm seeing that. All right, well, as long as the language fine, we'll have to we'll go through it.
okay.
Well,
All
Yeah,
right.
so I think we can fix it and then just say the board concluded, and then we'll get rid of the recommendations, because whatever recommendations that were made were included in the document. But was there a second place where Mr. Rowley was noted somewhere that?
No, that
somebody
was-
wanted to fix?
that was actually the second one that I was referring to. The first one was way up in the very, very, very early pages, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, because that was only the second page.
Okay. Well,
I
further
think
in, then further into the document, yes, further in.
Look at
Mr.
page
Crowley's
11.
right. It does,
Look at page 11.
it refers to the Crowley, it actually says
Yeah, so
Rowley.
if there are no conditions, because I think everything that we've done, we've included.
You might want to take off the paragraph above that too.
Yeah,
But-
so I think those two changes probably should address the concerns.
All right, well, this isn't time to fix it now. We could fix it later.
Okay.
Let's go to the boards. You apparently have a 53G account, correct?
We do have a 53G
Right.
account.
Okay.
Do you have some bills?
I don't know I just want to make sure you have an account. I don't do the bills. The only thing I want to say, this is because this project's you're selling this project, correct? You're not renting it. You're gonna sell the units. You're not renting
The
them, right?
units are going to be sold, correct?
Okay, so because it's not the town, we're gonna have to deal after with 20 persons. Not if it was a rental, it would be a little different. So it's gonna have extensive inspection by the town and engineer, and as well, also, you guys are aware it has to be built, the infrastructure according to town specs, right? Regarding roads, gravel, drainage, all the specs of the gravel, all these things has to be built according to town specs. And town engineer will have to enforce that with the inspection, just to make sure you guys are aware of this, right?
Yeah, there's a section in the permit about construction schedule and prerequisites. And it has, before the project gets started, that there's going to be a conference of the building commissioner, et cetera, and municipal boards. So that has been included in this.
All right, now how you guys going with building permits? Are you guys finishing the road completely, or you guys gonna put a bond halfway? Do the top coat at the end? How you guys gonna do this? You
I
wanna-
typically put in, Mr. Chairman, the provision that you would find in a normal subdivision approval. So the condition says that no certificate of occupancy will be issued until the infrastructure is complete, provided, however, that once the applicant puts in the base course and wants to put a performance guarantee in place so that building permits can be issued and certificates of occupancy, the rest of the work can be bonded or put under a tripartite agreement,
Okay.
whatever
Okay.
what people want.
Fair enough. All right, before we go forward, I want to just talk to the board, get some comments. Jim?
So I thought I was clear on this, but now I'm a little more confused. I thought these were going to be condos, so I thought all 20 condos would be managed under one condominium management master deed.
That is
And-
correct.
And then the road and the common area would be commonly, all the land of all the
Yeah.
units would be, so,
That's correct.
okay, so the talk about the road, if you will, being built to town spec, it probably applies, but the road will continue to be owned by the condo and maintained by the association.
It will be private.
Okay, and I don't think I noticed that there'd be a management company. That's going to be up to the owners, whether they manage it themselves or hire outside management. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, all right. I was just a little confused for a minute. I'm good. I'll pass on to others.
Right, my comment about this, because when you sell these to 20 homeowners, so if the town has an issue, we'll have to deal with 20 people.
No, it'd be with the
Say the
association.
pavement, say the pavement fail or the drainage, so that now the town has to go enforce, even the association and the 20 people versus the other one in Swiss Beach will be one landowner, the rentals, so.
So I think that, so basically, one developer is going to develop the site. And once all of the homes are sold, they will then turn it over to a condominium association. And that condominium association will manage the common infrastructure going forward. And, whether or not they self-manage or hire a professional management company is unknown. But there would be one developer developing all of the homes and infrastructure, and then there's usually a trigger within the condo docs as to when they turn it over to the association, but all the units have to be built and sold for that to happen.
All right, okay, very well. Okay, my point was you still have 20 different deeds versus one, but anyway, we'll go forward. Veronica, do you have a comment? Did you read the decision and stuff?
I did read through it. I don't have a comment necessarily on what I was reading. I just was wondering, I don't know if the question had been answered regarding the recreational space, if what that was actually going to consist of, if it was going to be a playground, or I think that was the question. I was curious.
We did discuss this before. The board I suggested we only ask for a grass area. We don't want to recommend any playground, swings or anything, just in case, God forbid, something happen. We don't want the town be liable for this. So if they wish to put swings and stuff, they'll be on their own.
Okay.
All right. And I guess also we'll talk with Mr. Grady after, discuss a couple of things, especially I think the mailbox and stuff like this. Let me pass to Mr. Sample. What do you have for comments, Richard?
I have no comments at this moment.
All right, Chris, do you have any comments?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Jake?
No comments at this time.
All right, anyone in the public want to speak in this matter, against or for? I guess none. Can we go to Mr. Grady? Brian, are you in?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, did you address most of, like, the comments of Mr. Rowley? He did discuss I guess the mailbox. I've read it somewhere, I forget.
Yes, I had conversations with the postmaster in the Wareham Annex, who referred me over to the Buzzards Bay Annex. And what we've represented on the plan is based on their input, which is mailbox clusters located within the cul-de-sac, which is what they've required of other projects. Charlie had a question about what the details of that mailbox cluster will be, and those will be worked out with the postmaster, as far as placement and sizing and things of that nature. But where we show it is at their recommendation is within the cul-de-sac island.
Okay, anything left over on drainage, road, all these things, all the details from Mr. Rowley, anything still hanging, or everyone is in agreement? Is everyone in agreement?
I believe we've satisfied Charlie's concerns in his letters, but he can speak to that if he has anything remaining.
All right. Charlie, you have anything remaining?
A question to Brian, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Of course.
Brian, did you see the note about adjusting the high point out at the entrance near Red Brook Road?
Yes, we made that change. Yep.
Made that change?
Yes.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Chairman, would be minor in terms of the details. So I'm satisfied pretty much with the plans. If the board has not received the final plans with those detailed changes, then I would recommend that they should be submitted so that they would be a part of the record. But if I can go back to the requirements for the road for just a moment.
Sure.
Typically, and I realize that you're not under Chapter 41. This is a comprehensive permit, so the regulations don't apply the way that they normally would. But in this particular case, you won't be building the road to town standards per se. You'll be building them according to the details that are shown on the site plan. Generally speaking, they're in compliance with the rules and regulations for the subdivision of land that Wareham has. So there's no issue there. And there's no reason, I don't think, to have to request a waiver from that necessarily, the way that they're shown. I do have a couple of concerns, though, with respect to the security for the road. Now, typically, there are 4 ways in which the construction of the roads under Chapter 41 can be secured. The first is with a covenant. The second is with a performance bond. The third one, I believe, is a tri-party agreement, and there might be another one involving a bank. I'm not sure, but there are at least 3, possibly 4. I would assume that, and the other thing is that I was going to mention too, is that typically no building permit can be issued until one of those 4 requirements are met. In the case of a covenant, you can't get a building permit on any lot until the road's built. In the case of a bond or performance bond or other security, that gets posted up against getting any building permits. It's not subject to an occupancy permit under Chapter 41. So you might want to discuss that a little bit as to how you're going to take care of that issue. My recommendation would be that you start with a covenant, because that initiates the whole thing and that gives you the approval. They can get started on the road, or they could come back at a later date with a certain amount of security that you would then look at and exchange that for an entire bond, or you could exchange it to keep part of the covenant in place and replace it with a certain amount of security. But I think it needs to start with the covenant. If you don't do anything and just wait for the top course of mix to be put on, you won't have any security at all. So my suggestion would be there's no cost to a covenant to start with. And I think that's something that you need to consider with respect to going forward. Now, as far as the homeowners agreement is concerned, if I could refer the question to Mr. Bobrowski, is it not appropriate that a homeowners association document be submitted to the board at some point before the final sign off of the approval?
Counselor, unmute yourself. You gotta unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you look at subsection G of the decision on page 12, you'll see that the document will be prepared prior to the conveyance of the first unit in the project. And that document will contain private maintenance obligations in paragraph 2. This is all on page 12. Thank you, Lynn. And all of the rest of the terms typically will be contained. If you look at paragraph number 5, the documents will include a provision in a form acceptable to the board and town council that the project will basically remain as shown on the plan. So it's not typical that the board would approve the condominium documents, but we're certainly happy to share the condominium documents with you. And it has to be done prior to the first conveyance.
Okay, I guess that's what Mr. Rowley probably asking for, right, Charlie?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not suggesting that you have to approve the language within the homeowner's document, but that there should be one there.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
all I'm saying.
Yeah. If I could go back to Mr. Rowley's earlier point, if you look at the top of page, I believe it's the top of page 5. I'm sorry, it's not 5.
About the roadway?
Yeah. Well, no,
Yeah,
just
hang on.
the
I'm
general requirement for,
There's definitely, hang on.
it's on page 9 and it's the first point on the top of the
So
page.
page 19 says the
9.
sidewalks, driveways shall remain private. That was one of the points.
Yeah, but I want page 9.
Okay, hang on.
And it's the very first thing on the page. No certificate, no CO for any building shall be issued until all improvements are constructed and installed, except as provided next. And this is the provision that talks about the base course and the drainage facilities adequate to serve the building being installed. At that point, the applicant may elect to provide a performance guarantee reasonably acceptable to the board to ensure completion. The covenant specifically says under chapter 41 that no building permit will be issued and no lot will be sold as if it were a subdivision until the infrastructure is complete. But the purpose of the subdivision performance guarantee provision is to allow building permits to be issued earlier as long as there's adequate security for the remaining work to be done. So what we're saying is that a building permit may be issued, but no CO will be issued unless there's adequate performance guarantee in place to allow the town to step in and finish it, in effect, if the applicant doesn't.
If I can reply to that, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
It depends on when you pull the permit and how much work you have done. If you're going to wait until the final course of pavement is to be installed, in other words, or if you're going to present some sort of a security after the base course is in and not before then, that leaves the whole thing in limbo, because there won't be any security against the work that has to take place before you put the base down. So if you're going to ask for building permits, it seems to me that the appropriate security has to include everything up to that point. Otherwise, there's going to be no way for the town to recoup anything.
Well, may I suggest then with that comment, Mr. Rowley, that we move number 3 back to the previous page and put it under prior to the issuance of a building permit.
I do agree with Mr. Charlie.
Yeah, I think that's the appropriate place for it, but at the same time, we have to be sure that whenever you go for the building permit, let's say you clear the land and you strip it down and you've started the drainage, but the drainage isn't complete. You could get credit for the amount of drainage you've done and not have to post security for that. But you would have to post security for everything beyond that, which would be the remaining drainage, the water, electricity, the gravel base, the sidewalks, the curbing, all of that sort of thing would have to be included in a bond or security amount, which would then be approved by the Board of Appeals.
Yeah, I have no quarrel with that. If the, through you, Mr. Chairman, if the provision that Lynn has highlighted there gets put back a page, then, and the language is changed to no building permit shall be issued until all improvements are constructed and installed. And then in the same sentence, well, it disappeared on me.
No, I'm
Are
just
you-
looking, I'm
let me-
looking to see which is the building permit?
Let me ask you
No,
something.
you've gone too far.
Hello, can I ask you something? Are you guys building this project or you selling it as a whole?
So,
Are you not sure?
so it is actually under,
Are you guys,
which
can
it
you guys
it
hear me?
is actually under prior to the issuance of a building permit for the project, the
Hello?
applicant shall.
Ms. Sweet, can you hear me? Am I muted? Hello?
I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. Did you hear what I said? I said, are you guys selling this project or you guys building it?
It's most likely going to be sold to another party.
Okay, I do understand. A lot of times it's hard. They do want to pull some permits to start as the road constructed. I mean, I'm a builder. I understand this. But,
think-
and, you know, so I'll be willing if the board agrees to give you 3 permits, like 6 units during construction that you could start pouring concrete and stuff.
So I just wanted to go back to, so this item 3 is under the prior to issuance of a building permit.
No, it's not.
I'd
So-
rather do it like Charlie said, but if you
So
guys.
do you want me to just make it a star under 2?
Yes, but you'll
you
have to
just-
change the words certificate of occupancy to building permit.
Okay, so if I just simply do this,
Yes.
Okay, just do the whole thing then. There you go. Try and
then
follow.
it's under the heading here of prior to the issuance of a building permit, the project applicant shall.
I'm not comfortable that that does what I've suggested because the project as a whole either has a covenant, or if none of the work has been done, or if just a portion of the work has been done and you want to pull the building permit, for whatever work remains, that has to be secured.
Okay,
So-
so,
That taking paragraph 3 the way it's written and just
no,
substituting
I
building
changed it.
permit for occupancy doesn't do it.
No, it says no building permit shall be issued until all improvements specified in this decision. So I did change the first couple
Well,
words.
that's, if you do that, then you're restricting yourself.
To get a building permit until the road is
Absolutely.
done.
Right.
Isn't
Put that as
isn't
a
that what you're
condition.
asking?
If
Well,
you
but
put
the-
that as a condition, you've set yourself up for having to wait until the road is completely done before you get a building permit. And that's not necessary if you post the security.
That's
You
what
need
the
to
second
start out, I
sentence,
think, with a covenant.
that's what the second sentence says.
On that paragraph.
Yes.
Where in particular?
Well, I would like the paragraph to say the following. No building permit shall be issued until all improvements specified in the decision set forth in the final plans are constructed and installed so as to adequately serve the building except as provided next. This is the proviso. After the base course of the pavement has been installed and after drainage facilities adequate to serve the building have been installed, the applicant may provide a performance guarantee reasonably acceptable to the board to ensure such completion. And in other words, the building permit may be issued. Any performance guarantee shall be approved by the board's legal counsel. So
So
the-
I
the
think
idea-
that covers one of the 3 conditions that Mr. Riley had said was either a covenant, a performance bond, or a tri-party. So it's 2, the performance bond.
It's designed to work like the subdivision control law, Mr. Riley. So that's what we're trying to do here as well. Even though it's not a subdivision, we're borrowing the principles of Chapter 41, Section 81U.
Well, you cannot put the base course down just after drainage facilities are completed. You've got some language in there that in terms of construction does not work. I would simply leave it that no building permit shall be issued until all improvements. That first sentence is okay. You could put in the following sentence though, in the event that a performance bond or other security as stated under chapter 41 is provided, building permits may be issued upon the approval of that security. Something to that effect.
That would be acceptable.
That way you don't have to restrict yourself. This way you've set yourself up for having to wait, and the drainage and the base course of material don't go together.
All
That
right,
would
so
be-
what's the language, Mark?
No building permit for any building shall be issued until all improvements specified are constructed and installed, period.
Yeah,
Provided, however, that upon the posting of an adequate performance guarantee approved by the board, building permits may be issued, so long as the performance guarantee covers all remaining work.
And just for clarification too, the board can decide how it wants to do it, but typically when this is being requested, when you want to get rid of the covenant and post security in its place, the cleanest and best way to do it is to ask for, on contractor letterhead, a description of each item that's being requested for the security. In other words, if it happens to be the drainage, and if it happens to be the sidewalks, and if it happens to be the water, there would be a unit cost associated with each item for a total amount. And then that would be incorporated into a final number. Now, the board, the planning board uses a number of 125% of whatever the contractor puts in his letter for the unit prices. You may wish to do it some other way, but typically it's 125% of the base amount gets posted for security. And the town holds that. And as the work gets done, a certain amount can be released upon a request of an inspection for that work that's been completed, so you can reduce the security on an ongoing basis. But my recommendation would be that when the board does consider this, that you do so by getting a unit price for each item by a contractor, and then set the amount. And as it suggests, the performance guarantee approved as deformed by the legal counsel. Continue to have that in there.
Mark, can I just ask that Mark read that language one more time
I'm typing it for you, Lynn, right now.
into,
I'm typing it in a separate thing that I'll email to you momentarily.
okay, and I apologize, I've got another hearing in a few minutes, so I'm gonna do the best I can here. Okay, so we'll fix this language in this paragraph, Mark and I, over the next minute or two. And then,
Can we come back to it and see if there's anything else to discuss?
yeah, so Mr. Riley, you were just advising the board going forward when the applicant comes in for the bond as to what they should be requiring. You didn't want that written into the decision, did you?
No, not necessarily.
Got it.
It's just a procedural thing that over the years I've found to work very well, because a lot of times people request a partial release of the amount of money that's been posted because they get certain work completed. So the only way you can attribute the cost to release is to compare it to a list. So that's why I'm suggesting it be done.
Okay.
Can I assume, or can the board assume that you would at least start out with the covenant then?
I don't have any particular objection to it. I don't think it's normally something that would be common to a 40B, but we can always just immediately turn it around and ask for acceptance of a performance guarantee. So
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything to prepare that document. It gets put on record. And it basically gives the provisions where you can move from the covenant to a posted security. And it does protect the town so that the town doesn't have to look at buildings that have been completed on a partially completed roadway.
agreed.
But will it impact the title every time you build a
No.
unit? Okay,
No. Because you won't be able to convey anything until you either complete the road as you've stated, or you post the security for the amount of work to be left. Once you post that security, it takes the place of the covenant. That all becomes a part of the matter of public record.
I see you've gotten it, Lynn, so.
okay, so I'm gonna read the language. No building permit shall be issued until all improvements specified in this decision and set forth on the final plans are constructed and installed, provided however, that the building permits may be issued if the applicant, I'm just gonna make that plural, provides a performance guarantee reasonably acceptable to the board to ensure the completion of all remaining work on the improvements. Any such performance guarantee shall be approved as to form by the ZBA's legal counsel.
I don't think you want to have legal counsel approving the amount of the security. He might do it in terms of the form of the document,
That's what it says.
the amount.
Yeah, it
that's what
says as to form.
Mhm.
Approved as to form by the ZBA legal counsel.
Not the amount.
I would suggest one other slight change, Mark, if I might.
Go right ahead.
That the applicant may substitute performance bond for a covenant in the manner prescribed below.
Well, why don't we put in the first sentence? I'm having trouble reading that, Lynn. I gotta find my email to you. It's really tiny.
No building permit shall be issued until all improvements. Oh, do you want me to just, let me see if I can figure out how to make this bigger. It is, I got a new computer, so everything's a little confusing. View.
Okay, if I may,
Zoom.
excuse me, if I may, this is not time to copy and paste and fix this. We have a long night as well tonight. So can you guys draft this later, pass it by Mr. Rowley? The board will read it. We'll have to pass it to town council to look at it before we make a decision. And we go from there.
I'm fine with that, Nazir.
Yeah, I think so. This is rushing it too quick. Just FYI, also ZBA required 150% bond, not 125 surety bond. So it's 150, not 125. Like the planning board. You get that?
I think they do use 125, Nazir, but we can confirm it if you
No, we
would.
always use 150.
No, okay.
All right, so Ms. Sweet, Councilor Bobrowski, so if you guys fix the draft, share it with Charlie for the next 2 weeks until we see you next time. And with us as well, Mr. Buckland, we go through it, all the board members will go through it, and as well, we'll pass it by Mr. About our council. And we go from there. How's that? That sounds all right?
That's fine.
Okay, board member, before we go forward and continue, and or as well as the applicant, you guys want to add anything?
I do.
Good. Jude.
So I still have another item that I'm a little bit foggy on with the condominium. I was thinking about snow and I was thinking about trash. I did read in that number 4 there that the condominium is going to do their own snow plowing. So they'll plow their own road, their own cul-de-sac. So that answered my first question. But my second question is, it seems to me in prior meetings, the comment was made that everybody is going to have their own ABC, 169 gallon, 190 gallon, just like all the single family homes in Wareham. And that's not the way every other condominium in the town of Wareham operates. Every other condominium in the town of Wareham has a dumpster. And I don't know why this one would be any different. And I'm thinking that may come up to bite us in the future down the road. So I'm saying it to the developer as much as I am to the board, because if there is going to be a need to have a dumpster for the community for all 20 units, then there needs to be a place for it to exist.
So the under 19, it basically says waste disposal will have to conform to the town's solid waste removal contract and related bylaws.
And I'm not sure I'm arguing with you. I'm saying that I see a red flag here. I can name.
Everybody
name
has a
condominium-
garage and they're gonna put their
name
trash out.
condominium developments in town by name and by number of units and tell you that they all have a dumpster, that they don't have individual roll around buckets for every single condominium owner. And so I haven't read the contract for trash removal for the town of Wareham. It is new. It gets discussed quite a bit on Facebook. And I can guarantee you that if every other condo in town has a dumpster, that there will be some Dudley Do-Rights on Facebook stirring up the mud, and you guys will be faced with a place to put a dumpster if you don't provide for it now.
Why don't you guys have Mr. Grady show a dumpster pad for future use?
I think you're gonna need it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that at this point in time, we don't know what the requirements are with regard to the trucks coming in and out. I suspect if the person taking over the permits would like to move to a dumpster, then he's gonna have to come back in front of you. But at this point in time, everybody does have a garage. Everybody does have, one side has, a sidewalk. I think that it's, that's the way the project has been designed. And if they want to change the design, they need to come back and ask for permission.
It's a condominium and the design doesn't meet the town's trash removal plan as of right now. Go look at every other condominium in the town and they are all required to maintain private dumpster services. No condominium owner has the buckets that you guys are claiming are going to be used at your condominium.
But the burden, Jimmy, if I may, the burden's gonna be on them to come back and fix it.
I'm
Jam.
yes, exactly right. So I'm trying to be a good guy and tell them this is going to come and bite you. And if you don't put a place for a pad, that's all. I'm done.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I do recommend what Jim's saying, but it's totally up to you. So it doesn't come back, or the developer comes back and have to revise the plans and stuff. So it's totally up to you.
I mean, they may come back and say, we want to put a dumpster pad, and we may say, yeah, okay, go from 20 to 18 units and we'll give you that lot for a place to put a dumpster. But if you deal with it now, it may be dealt with different. I mean, you guys do what you want.
Well, you heard the man, so you guys decide what you're gonna do till next time. Richard, you want to comment anything?
No comments, sir.
Okay, Jake,
Nothing at this time.
Veronica,
No, Jim actually addressed what I was wondering. I hadn't heard the answer regarding disposal. I knew that question had been asked, so I agree with him.
okay, all right, that's good. So I think you got a lot of board members leaning. I believe the same way as Jim said. So you're probably gonna have to fix it, require and show in the plan pad for next time. Anywhere at the cul-de-sac. I mean, you don't have to use it now until it's deemed necessary in the future. Just show in the plan, future pad with the fence. And if that happens, at least you have it on the permit. Mr. Grady can incorporate it in the plan very easy. All right. Jake, everybody spoke. You guys want to say anything before we go forward? Continue, Mr. Bobrowski, Counselor?
No, if anybody has any other comments on the draft decision and you could get them to Ken in the time between our next session, I can review with Ken the suggested change and we'll be ready to discuss it.
Okay, please CC everything, Mr. Rowley, have him look at it as well, if you don't mind.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Sweet, you good?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
All right, very well. Let's make a motion to continue.
So move.
Okay, motion to continue 2-21 till May 26th. Do I have a second? Motion by Jim. Do I have a second?
I second Richard Semple.
second by Richard. All in favor, say aye. Jim,
All right,
Richard,
Nazir,
Aye.
Nazir, before you leave
Yes.
this, just one comment about the placeholder that's at the back of the document for my recommendations. I think you just delete that if it hasn't already been done, because the only recommendation that I have is at the end of my letter, which you have at your disposal now. So you can
We
treat
did,
that
we
with the
did
other
delete
condition.
that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep,
Okay, yep, thank you.
appreciate it.
all right, very good. So where were you, Richard? Veronica,
I,
Jake? Jake is out. Jake, you aye or no? Continue.
Aye.
Okay, and myself, Nazi, aye. All right, so we see you on May 26th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. We can, okay, hearing 18-21, Daniel Georgiana, special permit / variance 45 Longwood Ave. All right, public hearing still open. Who was handling this? Who's the Longwood Ave? Oh, that's on in answer. Mr. Georgiana, I want to take your mute button off. David.
Yes.
Unmute.
It's all.
Yes. All right, so where did we leave it last time? I believe everybody was gonna go make a site visit. Did you change anything? Did you talk to anybody?
Yeah, we did get some calculations on what we have for coverage as well for some of the surrounding properties that were on our abutters list as well, just for comparison.
Okay, what you got?
I'd like, do you want to pull those up?
Yeah. Could I share the screen? Is that
Just for
possible?
the record, I'm sorry, we haven't been taking names, just for your name for the records and address. David.
I'm Daniel.
Daniel Georgiana and David Georgiana, I'm his son.
Okay, any address for the record?
No,
No.
Address.
at your address.
excuse me, 45 Longwood.
Okay,
Wareham.
Daniel. Okay, so what you got?
Let me just start. See if I can get this organized a bit.
We had some concerns with lot coverage, with our cottage being the smallest one, adding the addition to it. And we did want to just kind of compare with the houses that are abutting to us, that were on the abutters list as well, just so we can, have some comparison with that. And we're under the percentage rate with basically all the houses that are adjoining or abutting us. We just wanted to show that because that was one of the concerns. And then the other concern was, I think, lot size and how close some of the buildings were to us.
Okay. And these are the surround, like next to you, across the street?
Yes, sir.
Right in the back, okay.
Oh, let me.
And I believe last time, Veronica, can you see that?
Could I start?
yes, I can see it.
Okay, let me start.
Yes.
So
Go ahead,
if we, so I decided to use the official list of abutters that have the same size lot as ours.
Yeah.
And you can see them. So we're at 45 Longwood. So all the ones around us are the same size lot. I think it's 75 by 50. So we were comparing apples and oranges. I found a website that shows, let me see here, that shows, I think it's called, I have it listed when I show the table, but it shows the footprint, which is a thing in colors, and then it shows the breakouts of the sub areas, the various floors. So there's a first floor, there's a second floor. It says 3/4, but it's actually split between crawl space and floor space and enclosed porch and a basement. So this is there's a website that does this for all the plots in Fairhaven. I'm sorry, in Onset. So let me move on. So then. So then I showed it to David, who's been a great help explaining what I don't know much of this stuff, so I didn't know what floor area ratio meant or exactly what the plot coverage was. So, so I showed it to him and he pointed out some mistakes. So the thing I showed to him, and I think that was distributed, was the actual data from the site, which uses something called gross space and then living space. But basically, and I did some looking on the web to find out what FAR meant. So basically, the floor area, these are the 8 abutters are of the same exact size as our plot. And then we have our current plot, current structure, and then what we're proposing. So the floor area really is the living area on all the floors, including porches and decks. And but it doesn't include crawl spaces or unfinished basements or outbuildings. And crawl spaces is not what I thought it was. It doesn't mean underneath. It means that most of these structures, including what we're proposing, is a story and a half. So the second floor, so to speak, is under the eaves. And they do some calculation about the crawl space is the place where no one could, an adult, I guess, couldn't stand up, or where the typical ceiling would be, or something like that. So the edges of the second floor is called crawl space, and that's not considered living area. And that's sort of consistent throughout these data. So, and neither is unfinished basements and outbuildings are not part of living area. So the floor space for these plots and the floor space for our plots is this. It's the area on all floors, including porches and decks, but not including crawl space, etc. So these are the numbers for the abutters. Okay, and this is the average floor area for these abutters, once again, that are from your official list that have the same plot size. This is the percentage, or the area as a percentage of the plot size. So you can see they're around 50%. There's a large one and there's a couple of other larger ones. So this gives the FAR, and then there's an average of the abutters. And these are ours. So the current is from the data. And so we currently have 19% of the FAR. And the planned, I calculated from our floor plans for the first and second floors. So if you recall, the front of the house is the old bungalow with the porch. In the back of the house, we're taking out part of the back of the house and we're adding another rectangular piece that's 2 floors. So I calculated that floor area, and the floor area from that calculation that is from the plans, which I think you have, is 49% of the FAR, which is lower than the average. And so there's sort of 4 above and 4 below in terms of the plots, and a couple of them are close. So once again, I think we're within either even or below what the FAR is for our abutters from your list with the same plot size. This is the source, by the way, which I was really impressed by. So it's a GIS source, so they're pretty good with the plot size. And somebody calculated the different divisions of the room or the floors in terms of these various categories of crawl space and living space and deck space and porches and so on. There are a lot of there's a lot of covered porches and there's a lot of closed-in porches. And I did the calculation of floor plans for the proposed, and then I did some visual inspections for the plot coverage. So in order to do the plot coverage, and as I said, the thing that Sonia, bless her, passed out for me was not correct. And David pointed out where I was wrong or misunderstood what FAR was. So the footprints is literally in the data. They have pictures of the footprint of all the plots in Wareham. So you just give them either a name of the owner or the plot number, and out comes the footprint, literally a picture with calculations in it. And then there's another section that has for outbuildings, which are decks that aren't connected to the house, as well as sheds and other types of outbuildings. And then I walked the neighborhood. Actually, I walked the neighborhood a lot to make sure this looked sort of, I made sure it looked okay to me, or it was making sense to me. So I then estimated the driveways, which wasn't too difficult. I didn't go on anybody's property, but the driveways, they paved driveways. So there's 4 paved driveways, and I could estimate the width from the street, and I could estimate the depth of the driveways by looking at it in reference to the plot size, the 75-foot plot size. In one case, the driveway went across, so it was the total size was 50, or in this case, it was something like 35. So these are driveways. These are paved driveways. They're also sidewalks and bits and pieces, which I didn't really count because I couldn't estimate them. And it's amazing to me. Every house in that whole peninsula is different. It's just really, it's sort of interesting. That's why we like it, I think. So adding.
We get that. We got the idea, Mr. Giorgiano.
Okay, great. So the total is the total of these numbers and the percent coverage. Okay, and then this is the current. So the percent coverage of the current is 21%, and the percent coverage of the proposed house is 41%. So once again, we're lower than the average, and we're lower than every coverage of our abutters.
All right, Jimmy, what do you think?
The screen share that he was sharing before, they did a very good job. They presented it very well. I'm sorry they stopped sharing that because.
Well, I'll get it back. Do you want it back?
I think that tells the whole story. I think if we, those numbers tell the story. As I was staring at it, what I saw was, I saw that you are currently the smallest FAR on the street, and you will remain the smallest FAR on the street. I saw that you were the smallest living area on the street now, and you will remain the smallest living area on the street. You're the smallest gross area, and you'll remain this. So it's self-evident. Thank you very much. Good job.
So this is, yeah, this is what we picked.
That was a lot of work.
Oh, no, yeah, I spent a lot of time on it.
Thank you. All right, this one is
this is
I
the
guess
one I think
Chris,
we're looking
Mr.
for.
Conte, what do you think, Chris?
Okay, so yeah, I did go and I visited the property and took a look at it. I did request that we get a little bit more plans on this this project. And now we did get a floor plan that lays out the bedrooms and the bathrooms and stuff. So to me, it looks like you have to go out to the covered porch in order to get to each one of the bedrooms. So you have to go outside in order to get to the bedrooms.
No,
David?
I can show you. Do you have it? I can display this.
There's a door.
I can display it. Wait a minute. So you want the first
Floor plan.
floor plan, like maybe I can make it bigger. I'm not sure. But you have these, right? Because I think they were distributed.
Yeah, the plan that I have, it shows the doorway going from the kitchen into the covered porch. And then that's where you enter into the bedrooms.
I see what you're talking about. Yes.
So you go, this is the covered porch. This is the entrance to the bedroom.
We're not seeing, I'm not seeing the plan.
So you would
Yes.
walk out, you
This
would
is-
walk
this
out
is
of the
fine.
structure onto the
This is-
covered porch and into the bedrooms. That's correct.
That's correct, right?
But
So you have to go outside onto the covered porch to get into the bedrooms.
those are the steps. These steps
No,
are.
no,
from-
that's not the question.
Okay,
That's fine.
Okay.
Yep, that's
And
correct.
my other issue is that I have is when you look at the back of the building, you see that like quadruple sliding doors and all that, those fabulous looking windows and stuff that you look like you're going to spend a lot of money on.
Yep.
Yeah.
However,
Well,
you can't get upstairs unless you use these pull down stairs in the middle of the living room.
Yeah, we
I
do
don't
have
see
a-
any stairs to go up there, so I was kind of questioning why you're doing all those elaborate windows upstairs, where you have no stairway really to get up there.
So we are kind of hopefully going to be able to propose a set of stairs in the existing cottage in the back right corner, which would be right around the number 2 area. If you want to point to that right there. We would like to, I guess, put a set of stairs there in order to have, more access for my folks to get up upstairs to that covered porch area, as opposed to using the pull down stairs.
So it'll be along this wall, right?
So it'd be actually right here.
Okay.
So the actual stairs themselves, we would put in this corner here, and they would go up to the left here. So they would actually clear.
I don't see your mouse moving on the screen.
Oh, okay, here we go. So it'd be here?
Yep, right at that number 2 area here. Yep.
Okay.
There it is. There's the mouse.
Yep. Is it there now? Can you see it?
I see it. It's up by accepted streets now. It's not on the plan.
Oh, we're on the plan. Are you looking at the plan?
Yeah, we're looking at the plan. So when you're saying it's here, you're pointing with your finger, but we're only seeing the plan. We don't see your finger.
Oh, Paul. Yeah.
So can you,
That's understandable. I'm moving the mouse.
And I
around.
don't think you were trying to give us the finger. I think you really wanted to use the pointer.
No, absolutely,
you
absolutely
want
not.
me to use it?
So we would just, so in the original structure, which is the back right corner, can you see the mouse now?
I have to.
Not moving.
It went away again.
Can you see it
So,
now?
Mr.
There it is.
Kabachi, I think I'm the one that's sharing my screen and not Mr. Georgiana.
Oh, maybe that's what's
That's the
going on.
problem. Okay.
So I can stop sharing if you have something different you'd
Does
like
Mr.
to.
Georgiana have this plan so that he can, when he's
I
pointing,
do. I thought I was sharing it.
Yeah, I've been sharing all along.
let Mr. Georgiana share it so they can take their mouse
Oh,
and
I
say,
had no idea.
here and there.
Did you see the data I showed and the,
Yes.
I don't understand.
So try to pull that up again.
I was the one sharing the data as well.
Oh,
Okay, Sonia, you were the one that was.
okay, thank you, Sonia, thank you. So let me do this.
Just try and pull it up again. That way it's now it's you.
Is it,
It was confusing for us.
oh, well,
Does that come back up now?
No.
Yeah.
Not yet.
While you're bringing it up, let me ask Veronica if she has a comment. Veronica.
Yeah, I went to the property, and, looked at what's there and what's proposed. I have questions regarding the layout and the square footage that is being presented. That would be the FAR, that's just the first floor that you provided, right? You have a second floor there that,
yep, the FAR is all space on all floors.
when
Is
I do
that
the
adds up?
calculations, I get a higher number, but,
Well, let me explain it, because there's a crawl space. The crawl space is usually 50% of the area. I used 25%. So so there is crawl space because those are under the roof line.
okay, well, so I'm not sure about the numbers, but
David.
I'm confused about the layout and why
had said
you'd be
that-
going
okay.
outside to get into the bedrooms and just, my concern here is, the area is overcrowded, and actually the numbers that you provide tell us that story very clearly. And so what I'm concerned about is we have separate entrances and you're not showing actually how you're gonna get up to the second floor. There's a number of things that might potentially happen here. One being, if you're allowed to increase, over what is currently zoned, you'd be more likely possibly to have a second apartment, because that is by right where you are. And then the other thing is, aside from the variances that you're looking for, are the setbacks, the special permit that you're looking for. When I went to the property, I know it says on the plan, it's 4 feet. It's a really tight 4 feet between the house and the property line. And I would not be willing to grant that be extended. I feel like your addition would need to slide over. There's no reason why it couldn't slide over and actually be conforming or close to where you would have possibly, I don't know, 8 feet or 10 feet. I think you would have 8 feet on one side and 10 on the other. So you'd be a lot more in conformance in that matter. But those are my comments at this point.
David, you got that?
Oh, okay.
David, yeah, you get that, Mr. Georgiano? You get that? You get what Mrs. Debonese saying?
I,
Yeah, to an extent. So on the, you're talking about on the right side of the property there, where we're trying to line up the addition with the existing cottage.
Right.
Correct.
Now the setback differences, and what are you asking? Is it because it's 1 foot, basically?
She's
It's
asking
10
to
feet
shift it
requirement.
to show 8 feet versus 4. Just that to the left. I
So to
think.
set that entire addition over, another 4 feet, it really kind of messes with the entire floor plan of the addition, right? Because you'd have a much smaller area which would be connected to the actual cottage itself. Main reason we tried to get it to line up with the existing cottage, and then also keep that focal line the same as well, so the roof lines don't look like they were just stuck in like a tower, and fit really, the architecture of what we're really looking for. Because a lot of the reasons we, put that dormer on that second floor roof line is really just to get some aesthetics on the outside, and so it doesn't look like this, excuse me, but this ugly A-frame that we're trying to put on, which we're certainly trying to, conform to the neighborhood, and trying to make it, aesthetically pleasing to, not just ourselves, but also the neighbors as well. And it's, to shift that entire addition over to the left 4 or 5 feet is, again, we'd be encroaching on the other side of the, on the other abutter at that point.
could I
Actually, you
comment?
wouldn't.
1 second, Mr. Georgiano. Go ahead, Veronica.
Go ahead.
You would not be encroaching on your neighbor. You have 14 feet between what you've proposed and your
left.
neighbor on the other side. Your requirement is 10 feet. If you move the building over 4 feet, you would be at 10 feet, and then you would be 8 on your other side.
Right, but then how am I supposed to do that layout is what I'm getting at for the, for our floor plan. That's why we really kind of set it up that way. I do
I
understand.
know, I do
setbacks
understand
and
that, and I understand it would be something you would have to work at, but those are my comments.
So I do have a question too, is there's, multiple houses in that neighborhood that are literally building on the property line, and those were approved. Any specific reason? I don't know why we wouldn't be able to go through the appeal to certainly get that setback to where we need it to be.
I completely understand your comment, and what I would say to you is this: yesterday's mistake does not mean I have to make it today.
No, I'm not,
I think that these zoning laws were put into place knowing how Onset is currently set up. Onset is very overcrowded, and those zoning laws were put in place with Onset being existing as it is, because we're trying to control that. And continuing to say yes to these applications that come forward to not abide by those zoning laws is what's creating this mess. At some point, it has to be stopped, and it just happens to be that you're coming before the board, and that's my stance on this. The zoning laws are the zoning laws. They've been basically ignored, as far as I'm concerned, to this point, but I'm not willing to do that. I think we have to decide to try and follow those zoning laws that were put in place for the betterment of the town.
so the ones that are being built like literally right now, those were, I mean, there's one not even a block away that is on the sidewalk. And I mean, that's a detriment to all kinds of things, vehicles.
We're not gonna argue what's that. I understand what Veronica's saying, but
Okay.
just to be devil's advocate, Veronica, the bylaws were written poorly and they're not fair. That's my opinion, and I'm sure a couple of board members believe the same thing. But regardless, that's what we have before us right now.
Could
So
I-
apparently Veronica is not on board with this.
Okay. And I understand the setbacks, and
The only thing I want to mention, David, I don't think walking outside to go a bedroom is complying with building code. You have to check with the commissioner.
So we have a walk-through bathroom where the bedrooms will be connected. And then we also, I mean, we originally had a door from the original cottage into the bedrooms as well. Which we can certainly just put back instead of a window. We changed it out for an extra
If,
window.
if this permit is granted, building commissioner might reject it. It's building code. We don't have jurisdiction over it. I don't know. I'm just saying, it just feels weird. Regarding the attic, I guess later, if you want to come back for stairs, that's separate matter, but right now, that's what we call as a pull-down staircase, it's pull-down staircase. So I guess, let me ask Jake what he thinks. Jake, what do you think of this, Jake?
You know, I don't, the floor plan's a little bit funky to me. But you know, size of the project's not a problem, but definitely the drawing is a little bit funky to me for sure.
We certainly wanted to set up the floor plan for more of a summer cottage without a doubt. So that way you kind of have that kind of nice feeling of coming out and everyone kind of congregating onto the porch. So we really kind of set it up as just like, you know, a family could use it, but not everyone be in this, you know, the same area, so to speak. But I do understand the question of obviously walking outside in the middle of winter, if that is the case.
All right, David, you have to deal with this with the commissioner. Let me go to Chris Conte, because he was pretty much on Veronica's side, because if Veronica and Chris on the same page, you're not gonna be in good shape.
Okay.
Chris, I'm gonna go back to you. So what do you think?
So I also have a problem with the increasing the nonconformity nature along the sidewall 4 feet away. I like Veronica's idea of moving the whole thing over 10 feet and actually reducing it to 30 feet and having 10 feet all around the back and the sides. I like that area too. The building coverage permitted is 20% and they're going up to 38%. I'm not sure I can approve all these variances myself either.
What do you like? Okay, Chris, what do you like to see? If they move the building, like Veronica said, are you okay with moving the building?
I'm okay with moving the building, yes. And I guess I would like to see a better floor plan with the stairs going up the right way on what they, I don't know, it's on what they showed me with the elaborate, you know, windows up there, and it wasn't quite right. And I don't know, I feel like something's being pulled over my head with this addition.
No, not at all. That upstairs porch area, we actually wanted it to be open completely. But the engineer had mentioned because it was open, and also that first floor porch area, which is cathedral ceiling, so there's no floor area on the second floor, we really wanted it to be open through to that cathedral area for the first floor. But they made us put those doors in there so we could close it off if there were hurricanes and things like that, so you wouldn't have a massive uplift on the roof structure. So those are basically, you know, glorified sliding doors upstairs just to open that porch and actually get that.
Do you have, David, do you have detailed architectural plans?
We have, you know, our elevations. We don't have, like, what do you mean, like?
Who drafted those? You did, or an architect?
No, nope, an architect.
What's that?
We had an architect draw them up.
Okay, why? Okay, before okay, why don't you I don't think it's heading the right direction tonight. So why don't we continue this? Get a full set of drawing with the architect. And apparently, just let me tell you where we are right now. Apparently, you get 2 board members that want you to shift that building. I want to go back to Veronica and ask her, are you okay if they shift the building, or you have other issues? What other issues do you have?
I guess I would want to see the full set of plans, because like Chris said, I do feel like something's odd in the presentation, and I don't feel like we're getting a full story on what's happening with the building. And I don't want to set this up for, so what happens in my mind once we grant a variance on something like this, on a building that's actually conforming, which is unusual in onset. Once we grant the variance, it becomes a lot easier for a special permit to be expanded upon. So granting the variance for these requests, I am very reluctant. But if you move in the building over, you slide it over, and you can show us exactly what's happening with the rest of the floor area, and maybe show us what your access is and what your ultimate layout of that second floor is going to be. I might reconsider my my thought on moving forward, I guess, with a variance. But it would, I don't say that, don't expect a yes, but it's not a definite no.
Yeah, so
Every time we hear something different, it's confusing to us. And I understand that you're worried about we're not adding, I mean, I guess we're below what everybody else around us is, which seems to me to be a hardship, and we'll deal with that. And we understand what you're saying, but it's just so uncertain. What's going to happen the next time we do this, and then, okay, no, we need to do this as well. So we need some sort of direction, as the chair is asking, because we're
Mr. Georgiano, let me tell you how this works. Unfortunately, with zoning board hearings, that's how it works. Go back and forth, and you might get a yes and you might get a no. And this is throughout the state. This is not only us.
Okay.
And believe me, I went to a lot of hearings and changed this and do this. In the end, it's a no. So there's no promises here. If you wish to continue and do what, because if Mr. Conte and Veronica says no, that's how it looks. It looks like me,
Okay.
Jim, and Jake is a yes. Veronica and Conte is no, and it's lost. If they say no, it's lost. So if you want to accommodate the request and give it a shot, I'll be more than happy to continue your hearing. And so it's totally up to you.
Right. Obviously, submitting a second floor plan is something that's needed, correct? Is that what
Well,
we're looking for?
apparently they set, the hard set is on, Chris and Veronica, they set on moving the thing, that's not 4 feet to 8 feet.
To the
So
left.
you have to play with the plans and move it to 8 feet on the side setback.
Okay.
Also, they want a full set of architectural plan to see it better.
So
If you bring
Mr. Chair, I would rather see 10 feet all around.
10 feet, oh, there you go, 10 feet all the way around, and I'm sure Veronica's on board with that. So,
It would be better.
so are you willing to do this, David, so we continue, and Daniel?
Yeah, we certainly want to work on this. Absolutely. They need a home to live in. So we're going to work on this as hard as we can so that we can stay within those parameters. So my folks, can have a place to live. We're renting a place now, and we really certainly need to work on it to get in within those setbacks.
All right.
So that'll be
That being said, I want to go to, I believe Mrs. Hickson is a neighbor. Jennifer, do you have a comment?
Yes, hi. I won't make a lengthy comment. I know the board
What's
has,
your name for the record and address?
excuse me, Jennifer Hickson, 15 4th Street onset.
Yeah.
I won't repeat my prior comments to the board. I'll spare you that again. I do want to say one thing about the day that was presented, quite thorough. I can't speak for their accuracy, but I would say that most of these houses were built 100 years ago before there were zoning laws, and that's why we have them now. It's a project that I have exception to, and I wrote a letter and I've been to the meetings, so I will spare you further repeat of my comments.
All right, thank you. Anyone else before we move forward? Here, no comment. I would like, David, Daniel, are you good to come back on the 26th?
Yes,
that's the next hearing.
Yes.
in 2 weeks, sure. Yes.
Yes, please.
What's the deadline on this, Kenny? Let me see what's the deadline on that. Which one is this one?
So what do they have, a deadline before we have to resubmit?
Well, you need, no, you just gotta give an extension. Give us,
June 25th, I think.
oh, we get,
Yes, June 25th.
yeah, you're good. All right, so you're good on the 26th, so can I have a motion to continue to the 26th?
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Chris. Do I have a second on that motion?
Sorry, I was muted. I have a comment before we move on that, please.
Yes.
I'd like to go on record that there appear to be 2 new letters in the file that should be noted in the record from, looks like abutters. I'm sorry, I'm looking at them kind of quickly here, but it looks like there's 2 consenting neighbors providing written.
Can
written testimony, so they should
All
be.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's normal.
One's from Natalie White and Jeremy Crockford, and the other one just signed it, a concerned neighbor. I'm looking at it quick. They're given a 45 Longwood, but as an abutter, they approved the plans on blah, blah, blah. And on the other one, it's also in the affirmative.
Okay, so they're both on the affirmative, right, Jimmy?
Correct. That's why I bring it up at this late moment.
Thank you very much.
All right, very good. So that's a good thing. Couple of neighbors.
Yeah, we did want to, we did
Thank you,
touch
man.
base.
All right, very good. So that being said, so can I have a second on Chris's motion?
We got somebody else trying to talk, Naz.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt the vote. This is Richard Runcie and Amy Rossi. We live at 35 West Central, corner of 4th. And, you know, I know this is going to be continued to June and.
No, continue to May 26th.
Okay, well, at any rate, sometime before that, we will get a letter of support into you as well.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? I hear none. Can I get a second on Chris's motion? Second to continue.
I'll second it.
All right, second by Jim. All in favor, say aye. Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
Myself, Nazi, aye. Okay, May 26th. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Listen, thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Here. All right, we go to still continued public hearing 19-21, Emily and John Heavey, care of attorney Ishihara, and it's 43 Marine Ave. Public hearing still open. Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Margaret Ishihara, attorney for John and Emily Heavey, who are also present and looking at the little screens. Their builder, Mike Fitzpatrick, is also present with us this evening. Just to briefly recap, let me see if I can get the share screen to work.
Sonia may have to grant you that permission. Okay, you're going. Here it comes.
So just to, now I'm not sure if I'm sharing screen. I think I am. Just to recap, the Heaveys originally acquired this piece here. This is on Rose Point Avenue. Their house and their garage are on this property. It's about 8,000 square feet. Subsequently, they acquired 43 Marine Avenue. That's the subject of this petition for a variance, also 8,000 square feet, 100 feet of frontage. It has a sewer, stub, and municipal water. The crux of the issue is that the building inspector took the position that once they acquired the second piece, that it merged with their other piece, and therefore there's no grandfathering anymore for 43 Marine Avenue. What the Heaveys are proposing to do is to put in a 2-bedroom home on 43 Marine Avenue so that Mrs. Heavey particularly would be able to take care of her sister, who has a number of health issues, which would be greatly assisted by having my client Emily Heavey being here and just being able to walk across the yard to the 2-bedroom house. Emily's sister, and I hope I'm not embarrassing her, but I did get permission to state some of the health issues that her sister has. She's had 2 knee replacements. She's had 2 major strokes. She's had several smaller ones. She's actually legally blind in one eye. She's very unsteady on her feet. She's fallen several times, and because of her condition, she really is not able to get back up. She's not able to drive. She is severe diabetic, and she needs assistance with most of her daily living activities. So this is why we're proposing this building. It's going to be modest size, 2-bedroom, be fully handicap accessible, I believe. So there will be I'm not quite sure what to call it, but it's one of those stair lift sorts of things. The first living area of the house is actually elevated due to the flood hazard zone area that they're in here. And then the interior is also going to be fully handicap accessible. Right now, Mrs. Heavy's sister can get around somewhat on her own, but they're anticipating that at some point she may not be able to get around except perhaps with a wheelchair and need the wider doors and all that. So this petition actually comes down in two, and I'm going to drop the share screen thing if I'm able to. This petition is actually in two pieces, if you will. One alternate relief requested to the other. The first relief that we're looking for is to put the proposed house on an undersized lot. This is in, as you're probably aware, the R30 district, which requires 30,000 square feet of frontage, 30,000 square foot in area and more frontage than we have. The building will meet all the current setbacks, front yard, side setbacks. So that's one form that we're looking at. We're saying that we're trying to get permission for variance to build for the hardship that I've just explained on an undersized lot. Alternatively, there is a requirement in your zoning bylaws that no more than one principal residential building, and this touches somewhat on the issue that Ken Buckland had brought up the last time with regard to use variance. But under your zoning bylaws, you're only allowed to have one principal residential building on a lot. So in the alternative, if you're not inclined to grant us the relief to build on the undersized lot, we would be looking for a variance to put a second residential building on the lot as combined. So I think that pretty much sums it up. If there's any questions that anyone has, certainly I'm here, the Heavies and their builder also, to address any concerns that the board might have at this point.
All right, thank you. I'm going to pass to Jimmy. Jimmy, what do you think?
So I listened to Attorney Ishihara, and so I think the implication is that that they're thinking that perhaps the board can just magically say, nope, it's two separate lots. And I think that that's not the case. It's a single lot. So I think the option of saying it's a separate lot and we're asking for permission to build on an undersized lot, if it was any one of the other 7.6 billion people in the world, it would be approved. And it's a separate lot. And you wouldn't even need permission for an undersized lot because it's grandfathered. So again, I've repeatedly said that I think it's a stinky law or a rule, but I think the only option available to us is her second option, which is a use variance, which is for a second primary dwelling on a single lot, which would mean both dwellings are on the same lot and on the same deed, and they cannot be sold separately. I think if we could get to that point, maybe we could offer some relief to this applicant, which means whoever buys it is going to be buying two houses, not each of those houses separately. The lady that's going into the proposed house to be built is, there's no delicate way of saying it. She's at the end of her life, and she's not going to live much longer. And when that house goes empty, now, these people, what are they going to do with it? They're either going to rent it out, or they're going to have an empty house, or they're going to try to sell it. If it's on one deed, the only way to sell it is to sell it to somebody else with a sick relative and sell their own home and move away. And if we can do it that way, I'd be I'd be inclined to do it, even though it's really twisting the rules. But I just think that it's a terrible rule, so I'd be willing to bend that far. That's my position.
So what you saying, Jim, are you for it or against it?
I'm saying I'd be in favor of a use variance that would allow them a second primary house, but it's gonna be on the same deed, and it's gonna be recorded that way. They can't sell one house without selling. It's two for the price of one. It's not 3 years now, or 3 minutes, or 300 years from now, they come to us and say, okay, my sister is dead, and now I got these two houses, and I'd like to separate them back into two separate lots and sell them to two separate people under two separate deeds.
Yeah, but they can always condo it, Jimmy.
Pardon me?
They could always do a condominium.
They could do a condominium but it's still under one deed. It's still one
piece.
They could conduct it. That's future. They could do that, but it's still each house would own all the land. They'd have the land in common, and that would be a legal way to do it. And it couldn't be challenged, but anything else could be challenged.
All right, Veronica, what do you think?
I like Jim's thinking, because I would like to come up with a solution for these people. I feel for them in their situation. And I think Jim is offering something that's reasonable.
All right, Chris?
I also, agree with Jim. Will we have to grant for 613 or do we have to do both of them, 621 and 613, or just one? Request a second principal residence on the same site?
It is one site.
Right, but do we have to do both of those, as the commissioner said? He said you may either request permission to construct a new dwelling on this undersized parcel, request a second principal. Okay, so it's either one or the other, right? He gives us three choices.
I think he's presenting that as three alternatives.
Okay. No, I totally agree with Jim on that. I like it was an interesting concept about the condo idea.
Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, what Jim said does make sense to me. I've seen this a lot, and it is unfortunate when people buy lots like that, but I think that's the best solution, because if we grant them what they really want, and they could sell it as two lots, and that's going to happen a lot. We're going to get a lot of people coming in and trying to do this. So I do agree with Jim.
All right. I disagree, unfortunately, with all of you, because it's still two dwelling, but I'm only one voice. I'll take comment from Richard for the heck of it. Richard is not a voting member on this, but do you want to comment on that? Richard?
I have some comments, but there's nothing that's going to change anybody's opinion. So I'm fine with what's been said by Jim.
Okay. All right. Anyone in the public want to speak in favor or against us? Matter? I hear none. Councilor, before we do close, you want to comment before we close?
No further comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. I hear that being said, can I have a motion to close?
So moved.
I have a motion to close by Mr. Akabachi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Veronica. By Veronica. All in favor, say aye. Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Now, any discussion before we make wishes on the variance?
So I have a comment.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you and I disagree, and I become Mr. Akabachi, huh? I see how it is.
I swear I knew you were gonna say that.
I have.
After I said it, I bit my tongue. Listen, you made me laugh tonight. I wasn't laughing. So you put me in a good mood. So that's a good thing.
Okay, so at least I got you to smile. I will. Yeah. I'll make a motion unless anybody wants to comment. If it gets seconded, we can vote. My motion is to grant a use variance so that the two residences are on one common deed on one parcel, and they can, and it be be so recorded at the registry and they be sold together, not separately.
All right, any discussion on that motion?
I have a question. How is the sewer and water affected here? Because those would be separate. Does that play any kind of a role?
No.
Because
They're
those are,
gonna have
in terms
two
of-
separate
in
water
terms of
meters and two
tax-
separate sewer drops.
It's 2 units, 2 connection, 2 units, 1 connection, 2 units, still two bills regardless. So they'll be double charged regardless, whether it's 2 connection or 1 connection.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right.
So I have a question too.
Sure.
So these lots would never be able to be separated ever again. Is that correct?
No, it's not
That's not-
correct. They could
not
always
correct.
go for a variance again.
To separate the lots?
Yes. That's what variances are here for. They could always come back for a variance and separate them.
Okay, thank you.
And they could always conduit, do condominiums and sell them separate. Okay, any more discussion? So on Jim's motion, do I have a second?
Second, Jake.
Second by Jake. All in favor, say aye. Mr. Akibachi.
Aye.
Okay, Chris Conte,
Aye.
Jake,
Aye.
Veronica,
Hi.
and myself is a no, doesn't matter, so it carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much
Thank
to
you.
all of you for doing this for us.
Thank you.
That's Mr. Akabachi to you, Attorney Ishihara.
Yeah, I was going to say, I always call you Mr. Ekabachi. Do I not?
No.
Thank you very much on
Good luck,
behalf of my
Mr.
clients
Peavy.
also.
Thank you.
I still call you Margaret.
You're doing for your sister, by the way, and keeping her out of a nursing home.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, and have a nice evening all.
All right, very good. All right, we'll go to, I guess, the second one, 24-21, Elisa Moore, special permit, 2 Sarah Beth Lane. This public hearing still open. Is Mrs. Morse here? Mrs. Moore,
Oh, good evening.
Here she
good
comes.
evening.
Can you hear me?
Not too good, but a little bit. Okay, can we have your address and your name for the record?
Sure, it's Lisa Morse, it's 2 Sarah Beth Lane, Wareham.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I believe last time we had some concerns from the neighbors. You guys, I guess, operating different businesses there, and the board has some concerns. So what's the deal over there?
Okay, as to my knowledge, there is a business here in which it's Sergi's Landscaping, and that was here before I moved. It's just here before I was here. I'm trying to have a home office for mailing purposes mainly, and billing and those type of things. I have no clients coming here, if that's the concern.
Okay, is that whatever you said, the name of the company, the landscape and business, is this licensed? Do you guys have a permit for that? You know, if there's a permit issued for that?
Yes, he does.
That is?
Yeah, he does, yes.
All right. I'm gonna recommend for the board that we review that permit and see if they in compliance with the permit, because I know a lot of neighbors had issues. I'm sure when the permit was granted, probably saying maybe 1 landscaping truck, 1 lawnmower, not 5, and apparently the neighbors saying there's too many. So I'm gonna pass it to the board, see what they think. Jimmy?
Thank you, Mr. Ekalasi. So I think that I'd reserve any comments until we open it up to the neighbors and see if there's any new opinions or new sentiments, if anything's been resolved amongst the neighbors.
All right, that's fine. We can do this. Anyone on the public who's want to speak in favor? I hear anyone in the public want to speak against that? From last time, is the lady still here? Okay, I don't hear.
I'm still here.
Oh, yeah, I know you're still here. I'm talking about the public, the neighbors. So I guess there's nobody there. All right, we'll continue with our board member. Chris, what do you think?
So, so last time I asked about a letter from the owner. She doesn't own the property, whether there was a letter stating that he's given her permission to do that. So I see the lease agreement, but in that lease agreement, it says for resident only. It says a room for resident only. So I don't see an agreement from the
Actually, here
owner.
beside me.
It says right there for use as residential
Beside me, if
premises.
there's any additional questions.
Elisa, you gotta wait until Mr. Compton.
He's here.
Wait.
But this lease is for residential premises only. So as far as I'm concerned, that she doesn't have, permission from the owner,
Right.
as far as I can see in writing here.
Okay,
So-
he's here actually, but can you hear me at all? He's here beside me if you wanna address that with him.
Well, this gotta be rectified in writing, Elisa, if that's the matter. So you're gonna have to
Okay.
change the lease to this, to saying that you could operate a business there. Chris, what else you'd like to say?
So, and I'm not sure about the, there's another permit you said for a business at that location. I did look at the Plymouth County records of deeds, and I didn't see anything recorded in the Plymouth Record of Deeds for another business permit recorded there, so I'm not sure where that permit
Right.
would
That's
exist.
why I'm recommending that the applicant come forward with their permit, so we look at the conditions set for that. Richard, what do you have to say on that? You're the voting member on that.
Just thought that there was some concerns about some containers and whatnot that were on there that David Requena was gonna, I don't know if you appointed him to go out and look at it, but he's not here tonight, so I didn't know what he had found out or if that was gonna be resolved or if it was something that need to be moved out of the yard, comply. I don't know. I just remember somebody talking about that.
Right, so that's why we need to look at that permit and review it and then get to the bottom of it. So, let me ask Veronica before we go forward. Veronica, what do you think?
When looking at a special permit, we have to consider whether it's going to be detrimental to the neighborhood. And I think at this point, allowing any other use would be detrimental until we can resolve some of these issues that were brought before us by the neighbor.
Okay, very well. Jake, what do you think?
I've heard enough. I'm not ready to vote right now.
Okay. Okay, Lisa, this is what you have to do. Can you hear us? More, this is Morse last name. Mrs. Morse, can you hear us? Hello?
Mr. Chairman, it appears that she got disconnected, but I just allowed her to come back in.
Okay. Lisa, are you still there? Alisa.
She's connecting her audio.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm having
All
a
right,
horrible
so
connection with my computer.
this is what we need. Okay, Alisa, this is what the board wants you to do. Like the sense from everyone, you need to come, first of all, you got to change that lease to the commercial lease, like Mr. Conti said. Also, we need a copy of that special recorded permit. There has to be a special recorded permit that was issued to the other business in there, and we need to review the conditions that was set on it. And with that, and you have to submit it to the town, to the planning department. We'll review it and we'll act upon after. So that being said, we're gonna continue this until the 21, hopefully until the May 26. Hopefully you get that matters, all these documents ready for us to review, and we go from there. Okay? Get that?
Sure. So his business permit has conflict with my home office here, is what you're basically pertaining
Well,
to.
there is a permit, according to you, ma'am, there's a permit issued for that place for landscaping, whatever the name of the landscaping company is. But, and there's a lot of complaint about it. We're just gonna make sure this permit in compliance. Now, if the permit issued to the landscaping company says he's allowed to have 10 containers, 5 trucks, 20 lawnmowers and he's in compliance, that's perfectly fine. Then we'll act upon after we see that. But right now, as everybody's saying in the neighborhood, you invite this particular land, you're not in violation, but the permit is for the land, not for the person. So
Correct.
you are in violation. That property is a violation. Until we get to the bottom of this, the board is not willing to act on it. Okay.
Okay, I actually have his business certificate here.
We need the recorded decision. There should be a special permit issued. We need a copy of this so we could go over the conditions.
Excuse me, Naz.
Yes.
Yes.
Jimmy, go ahead.
I'm not sure that every business certificate that's issued in the town of Wareham gets recorded at the Registry of Deeds. As a matter of fact, I'm quite sure they're not. If you go to the clerk's office and say, I want to start a business, the clerk sends you off on a signature chase, and if everybody signs it, she issues you a business certificate. You give her $50 every 2 years, and you are you're recorded. So I don't know that there were any orders or conditions or anything else, only that the business exists at that address.
They were in the private.
Yeah, so from my understanding, he has a business certificate. Like you said, I'm not sure if it is recorded, as the other gentleman said that it is not. However, when I obtained my business certificate, he went to get a copy of his as well, in which he did obtain that. Here in front of me, I have one here. It says it's dated December 1st, 2020. So it's 2020 until I want to say 2020, 22. So again, that's what I have in front of me here, in which I can provide that. My other concern is you did say that the neighbors are having concerns with trucks and trailers here or storage containers. There is one vehicle here that is lettered that is for his business. And there is a storage container here that is containing quads, ATVs and such. And then there's another one pertaining lawnmowers and landscaping equipment.
Okay, we understand this, but these containers they're not supposed to be there if you don't have a special permit. We don't care if you have a business certificate. We are zoning board, so we care what the special permit says. So if the zoning board disagree with the business certificate, the zoning board disagree. It don't matter if they grant you a business certificate. You don't have a special permit in place. So unless you come up with a special permit showing us it has to be recorded. At the time they gave you the business certificate, that special permit should have been recorded. If you don't have that, your business certificate is void and null as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't mean anything.
So again, from my understanding, he has a covenants for this address, and that is it's a private development, and that is by John Churchill. So I'm not sure if that has anything to do with that, but just to mention.
And in my says I
can. Okay. So you gotta go to the gentleman that owns the property and get the special permit for the landscaping. Other than that, we're not willing to move forward until you come up with that.
Excuse me again.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Understandable.
Jimmy.
So I'm listening here and I'm wondering if the special permit, the business certificate, it may be legitimate. I think where there may be a violation, if a violation exists, would be for any containers that are on the property. Every container or every shed and so forth and so on needs to be permitted. So if there's unregistered vehicles and storage containers and so forth and so on that are violations, that's what we kind of need to know, business certificate or not. I think, if they're not in violation, then they're okay.
Right. That's why we want to see the special permit. If the special permit allows them to use 2 containers, 3 trucks, lawnmowers, all this, they're good. They're good. So the neighbors has no case. But if they're in violation, that becomes a problem.
So
we're in agreement.
Okay. I guess I don't really have anything else to say at this point. So basically, Joe Sergi needs to resolve this matter in order for me to get a home office permit to run out of this address for myself
Correct.
when there's two different identities? Even though I can have a written letter from Joe Sergi stating that I can have a home office here?
Correct, because the permit is for the property, not for the, when we issue a special permit or for the property, not for you as a person.
Why wouldn't they tell me that?
So if you
So-
leave, you cannot take that permit with you, it stays in the building.
So Nazi, for clarification, the business certificate is separate from the special permit. There are two documents you need
Right,
to do what you're
correct.
doing, and that's what we're saying.
Right, the clerk would not issue a business certificate until everybody signs in the building department. And apparently the commissioner, which is, he's right, for him to sign, you need a special permit because it's a residential R130 there, he needs a special permit. That's why he sent her to us.
So again, under my understanding, I believe this is coming up because I'm applying for a business certificate. This address and this business has been here for over 10 years. So why hasn't this been a concern with the neighbors and the abutters before the fact that I applied for a home office permit?
And there's only one name.
It was never brought before us until you applied, so we don't know. I mean, we don't know.
Well, you say you don't know, but you just said you have abutters or a concerned neighbor.
We didn't know you're saying for 10 years. For the last 10 years, we never knew about it until you applied and the neighbor mentioned last hearing about it. That's how we knew. We never knew.
Excuse me, I think it's called opening up a can of worms. All right, and it also is something that we've also asked for is that the deed that you have doesn't permit you to have a business, so that you need to adjust that too. So I think it's just a matter of getting your paperwork and proving to us that it's all legitimate over there, and then we can move forward. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Yeah, very, this is sample correct. And
I got letters.
Hear what he said? So we need that special permit for that landscaping business, then we go forward.
All right, so where does Joe Sergi apply for a special permit for his address?
No, you said he has one, so you just give us a copy, that's all.
No, I said I have a business license.
No, I said he has a business certificate here in front of me. So he needs a special permit, is what you're saying?
If he has a business for some reason, I don't know how you get the business certificate without a special permit. That's what you're here for. So why you coming before us if you can get one without us?
This has nothing to do with me. I'm applying.
This is the process to get a business certificate. In your case, if you are in commercial area, you don't need to come before us because in this district you need a special permit, and he must have one. He can't have that without it.
Let me speak.
He must have one somewhere.
Okay, is there any way that Joe Sergi can have a comment?
Sure, we need a name and address for the record and say a comment.
How you doing? It's Joe Sergi, 2 Sarah Beth Lane.
Okay, so what's the comment?
When I built this house and I've been here 12 years with John Churchill, did the whole thing. We have it's a private association, private covenants. We got all like totally different. They told me all I had to do was get a business certificate. I went to the town hall, went downstairs to zoning, so everybody's signatures went upstairs and got my business certificate. Everybody signed it. Not a soul has told me to get a special permit. I went back December 1st of 2020 and had to renew my business certificate, and that's what I did on December 1st, 2020. Nobody told me there was an issue. I spoke to the commissioner on the phone, and he says, yes, I know that you had it. Your thing, he goes, I'm just going to let it go because it's from 10 years ago. They had all the business certificates and all the paperwork was done on cards. There's nothing we can do about it now. So I'm letting you keep your business certificate. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll move on. He said, he goes, if I knew that you already had a permit up there and it's already been zoned and changed, I would have granted her the business license, business certificate, but I didn't because I didn't know about it. She has to go through this appeal board. That's verbatim through him. He said, go through it. When you go through your appeal, he goes, you'll breeze right through it. You'll be fine. I got letters when I used to plow for the town of Wareham, I used to keep my salting trucks here. I got cease and desist letters telling them I can't keep my trucks here for the salting. So I rented another property. So yes, the town of Wareham known and always have known, and I got everything to prove it. And that's how it's been. But nobody told me I needed a special license.
Nazi, this is Jacob Morrison. May I speak?
Yes.
So, I understand you have your business certificate, but did you ever get permission to bring containers on the property?
I didn't, me personally, I didn't know. I have a shipping container. But right at the moment, what's in it is there's a couple quads and.
So, yeah, just let me finish. So regardless what's in it, in a residential neighborhood, you can't, even if you have a business certificate, you can't have containers on your property. If you could, everybody would have containers on their property in this town. So that's it doesn't matter what's in there. So that's really the problem. So yes, you're running your business out of your town. Out of your house, but it doesn't mean you can have everything that your business has at your house. So
it's definitely not. The only thing I have here is a truck and a trailer with a mower and a couple of things I take every day.
Well, you have
everything else is.
Sorry, but we already told there was 2 containers there. So
right.
But let me interfere quick. We're not gonna argue what's there now. What's before us, Alisa Morse and Alisa, that's what we said. You need to get a copy of that special permit. What Mr. Sergi has before us, it's not our problem. That's not what before us. Right now, until the property, what's going on the property resolved, until we hear from the commissioner, we need to hear from the building commissioner that that property is in compliance with the current zoning and the current permit or license you have. The board is not willing. I hear from the board, like I could feel the sense, the board is not going forward with your application. So
I actually got a voicemail I can forward you from him telling me.
It doesn't interest us.
Right.
That's not our problem. This is not, it has nothing to do with us. What the commissioner says or the clerk, this has nothing to do with us. Right now, we need, well, I will call the commissioner next couple of days and ask him to give us, so to say, the good bill of health for your property. If the commissioner don't give us a good bill of health, we're not going forward with that. We would go forward and deny. That's what would happen.
Can I say one more thing?
Okay, so you have to reach out to the bill. I'll reach out to the building commissioner and see, we go from there, see what he says.
All right.
And that means that we're gonna continue this matter until the 26th. Can I have a motion to continue?
So moved.
I have a motion by Jim to continue this matter to the 26th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by all in favor, say aye. Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
That's Richard. Sorry, Richard.
Aye.
Jake? Jake? He's muted. Myself? Aye. Jake, are you aye to continue?
Aye.
Okay, so that's 500 continued till the 26th. Very well. Thank you. We'll move to the new public hearing.
I have a question before you guys dismiss this, please.
Already dismissed.
Assessment, we continue it.
I tried to speak, but you wouldn't listen.
Let's continue. We'll hear you next time. All right, very well. We continue new public hearing 25-21 Edward Kreutzmann, special permit or variance 65.
Good evening, folks.
Mr. Kishman, hold on one second. We need to read the hearing into public records. Who's got the hearing?
I got it.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
The zoning board of appeals will hold an online public hearing on May 12th, 2021 at 6:30 PM to consider petition number 25-21 for a special permit and or variance from the requirements of Article 6, Table 621 and Article 13, Section 1352 under the Wareham zoning bylaws to Edward Kinsman of 2 High Valley Road, Ridgeford, Connecticut, proposing to construct a new 25-foot by 9.5-foot side deck on the subject property located at 65 Jefferson Shores Road, East Wareham, Mass. That appears on Assessors Map 6, Lot L19 in the R30 zoning district.
All right, Mr. Kinsman, that's your, read your name and address for the record and state to us what you're doing.
My name is Edward Kinsman, and I live at 2 High Valley Road, Ridgefield, Connecticut. I have a home also at 65 Jefferson Shores Road. The home or the cottage that I have is a very small cottage. It does not have a typical front door configuration. There's a door on the side that acts as our main entrance. There's an existing deck there that's ready to fall down. My proposal is to replace it with a larger deck. And it's right up against the property line. It's an easement there to the right side that you see. The existing deck is not ADA compliant. So we're looking to put an ADA compliant deck to the right side of the house.
Okay, can I see the proposed plan? All right, very good. Oh, okay. So you need to add proposed and right on the property line?
The existing deck is that the house is only 9.5 feet from the property line as it is, which is non-conforming. The new proposed deck will just be right to the retaining wall. It's only going to be 3 foot above grade on footings.
Okay, all right. Let me start with the board, see what they think. First, I mean, which one? This one, Richard would say on this one. Richard, what do you think?
I went by there today and took a look at what they're dealing with. The retaining wall that's there, they want to come close to the edge of that. I did see the way that the house is set up, that to make it ADA approved, that's the way the deck runs into the driveway, the edge of the driveway. There used to be a set of stairs there. Now the deck kind of butts into it. So it's a flush, even with grade, so you can get a wheelchair in. But this deck that they're talking about, I did witness the fact that the posts are rotting out on it, and it's not the safest structure to be walking on or having people on at this time. I do not believe that what they're proposing would be a drastic change or a detriment to the neighborhood, but that's my feelings. Like I said, I did go by, so I did get a visual, and I did speak with the homeowners just to see what their proposal was all about. So,
do we have the letter from the commissioner? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Dave Prichette, are you on the line? I believe you reviewed it as well.
No, man, no, Mr. Requena, Mr. Pichette is not with us. That's not his board. It's a different board. Mr. Requena, he's not online. No, the building commissioner.
You can see this picture there. If you scroll back down to that picture, the one further down, the one prior to that, you can see there the deck there is in need of immediate replacement.
Yeah.
There's a retaining wall there on an easement, and we're not going to go over the retaining wall. We're going to be shy of that retaining wall. The footings will be on our property. And as it is now, no one can get in that house with a wheelchair.
All right, let me see that letter, please, from David Requena, the commissioner.
Do you need to see? Okay.
Okay, right here, up right here. Thank you. All right, very well. He is it's an existing non-conforming lot under section 1352. If the board feels less detrimental, we could issue a special permit. If the board feels it's detrimental, it'll be a variance. Let me go to Veronica. Veronica, what do you think?
I'm not in favor of going to the property line. I'm not against trying to widen that as much as, and only as much as necessary for wheelchair access. It looks relatively wide looking at it, but I do have a question, couple actually. Parcel A, what is parcel A? To the left of that, and that wasn't on the drawing that was shown, looked like that was one lot with number 65, with map 6, lot 49.
Yeah,
But
in
on this
2008,
drawing-
in 2018, I bought the adjacent lot.
Okay. What is that? What is the deck on the left side of the house? Is that not an
This-
access point to the
No,
house?
there's stairs there and a steep hill.
Where the deck is, there's a deck on the left.
The deck on the left has steps going down from the grass area to
Yeah.
the deck, and it's on a steep hill. So it's
So
completely unstable for anyone to get in that on the left side.
So there's no access into the house there?
There is a small deck, 3 feet, but there's steps from the driveway, from the road. There's a grass area, and then there's steps going down, and then there's steps going back up. To the left side is a steep incline.
Let me ask you something. How you gonna be building a ramp over someone else's property? Do you
I
have a-
own it. I bought it in 2018. No, this is my property. The right side that we're looking at is a easement, a right of way for the Jefferson Shores community to use to access the beach.
Okay, it's an easement, okay, you own the easement.
No. The Jefferson Shores Association owns the easement, and I have permission from the president of the Jefferson Shores Association to build right up to the line of the concrete retaining wall.
Do you have that in writing somewhere?
I can get that tomorrow.
Okay. All right, yeah, we're definitely gonna need this signed by with the president of the association. All right, I want to move forward to Jake. Jake, what do you think? Jake. Oh, hey, Jake, Jimmy.
Sorry, my mute button
Go
was
ahead,
on.
Jake, what do you think?
I don't have a problem with this. I do think it's a little bit big, but that's about it.
It is big. Handicap ramp has to be that size. Richard, did I ask you a comment?
Yes, you did, sir. I've already answered.
Yeah. Jimmy, want to say anything else on that?
Very familiar with the property, very familiar with the right of way. 27 years, I had the right to use that right of way and use that beach. I lived in the neighborhood, so I'm very familiar. My comment is going to be a little askew. In the public announcement that I read that this exists on map 6 lot L19. This is not map 6 L19. This is map 6 lot 49. So if
I saw that I saw that on the public announcement as well, and I saw that was a typo. This is the accurate map and lot number that you're
Thank you
looking
for
at right now.
interrupting me, but I'd like to finish my comment.
Mr. Kinsman, listen to me. This is how it works here. You gotta have to be yield to speak. You cannot just jump and speak without asking. So when somebody's speaking, you can't interrupt them, okay? So let the gentleman speak, then you have your turn.
So
Okay,
my
I'll get to you when it's your turn. I'll let you know, Mr. Kinsman, to answer, okay? All right, go ahead, Jimmy. Sorry.
finish my comment. So my concern is that if indeed the typo is how it was advertised, and if indeed the typo is how the abutters list was generated, then we need to re-advertise this and we need to recontact the abutters because the wrong abutters have been notified and somebody may have been denied the opportunity to be present tonight.
Well, if you look at the abutters list, it's specifically.
Thank you for interrupting me
Mr.
again.
Kinsman, listen to me. Don't interrupt again. I'll let you know when to speak. All right, what Mr. Akibachi is saying, you have what you call a defective notice. Your notice showing the wrong lot number, it's showing the right map as the wrong lot. Also, you need to show on your application, I noticed just now quickly, at a glance, it went before me. You showing only special permit. You got any application, you have to check variance as well, because if the board doesn't feel it's fit to be a special permit, you need a variance, then you go back to square one. So the application has to show a variance as well. So right now you need to re-advertise properly because it's defective and fix your application properly. You gotta check both special permit and a variance with the application and re-advertise.
Mr. Chairman, if I may interrupt,
Sure, go ahead.
it appears his application is correct. The abutters list is correct, and the advertisement was by typo. Should be 49, not 9 or 19.
So it's just a typo on this page that we're reading from, and the advertised one was correct?
That is, no, the application is correct. It's map 6, lot 49. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yeah. Yeah, we see that, yeah.
See here, and then the abutters list, it's also correct. It's lot 49. So the hearing announcement, it's my typo.
So it's just a typo on this one page. What
That
went
is
out in the
correct.
newspaper is-
All of the
Cool.
abutters were properly not notified for lot 49. So I apologize.
No problem. Thank you. And
Thank
thank
you
you
for the
for,
clarification. All right, we go back. So Jimmy, comment on the project.
so now I do not find it detrimental to the neighborhood. Now I don't have a problem with it. Now I'm familiar with the location, and I would be willing to move positively on this application.
All right. Anyone on the public want to speak in favor of this project? All right. Anyone want to speak against this project from the public?
I'm in favor of it.
Your name, sir, for the address, the name and address for the record?
Demetrius Salpaglo.
Okay, and you are in favor. Address, please.
Could you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Demetrius, I need your address.
Yep, 29 Woodside Ave.
Okay, and you are in favor of this project?
I am.
Okay, very well. Anyone else in favor? I hear none. Board members, now we have to decide if the board feels it's not detrimental. It's a special, we'll go for a special permit. If the board feels it's detrimental to the neighborhood, we have to treat it as a variance. So what's the board wishes? How, before the wishes, we need to close. So, but how you guys feel, how you feel about it?
I feel as though it's non-detrimental.
All right. Before we close, Mr. Kinsman, you want to say anything before we close the public hearing?
No, thank you very much for your attention.
You're very welcome. All right. Okay. That being said, let's move to close.
So moved.
I have a motion to close 25-21 by Mr. Akabachi. Do I have a second?
I second Richard Supple.
Second by Richard. All in favor, say aye. Jimmy?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
And myself, aye. It's closed. Now, how the board feel about the relief with from 1352?
Make a motion to grant relief as proposed as a special permit using the plans provided standard conditions.
Okay.
Mekabachi.
So we have a motion to grant to go forward as a special permit. Do I have a second on that or discussion?
Second, Jacob Morrison.
Second by Jake. All in favor, say aye. Jimmy?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Okay, so now it's a special permit because, and it's an existing non-conforming, extending the non-conformity. So on the special permit, how does the board feel and who would like to make a motion?
My motion stands.
Okay, motion by.
I would like to make a comment.
Sure.
And it's consistent basically with how I typically will stand when it comes to encroaching on someone else's property. Regardless that it's an easement for other people's use, for everyone's use. I understand wanting to widen the deck, but I don't think it should be allowed to go as far as being on the property line of a different property, somebody it's not his property. So
Okay.
I would be willing to go a foot wider and extend it so that a wheelchair can get through, but there's no reason to make this deck a large gathering area. This needs to be access to the door, and that's it. There's a deck on the left side, there's a deck on the back of the house, and there's no reason that this deck needs to be enlarged as it's being requested.
Okay, very well. Special permit can be conditioned, and this is one of the conditions. So it's, I guess.
If they want to make it a maximum of 8.5 feet, would that be good for you, Veronica?
No, Jimmy, I think it needs to be like 2 feet from the line, or it's just wide enough for the wheelchair to go through, which I don't think 9.5 or 8.5 feet is a requirement for a wheelchair to easily access.
No, no, you
I
said
mean-
you wanted to see it back a foot, so now you want it back 2 feet, so that would be 6.5 feet.
I would be fine with that.
That's existing, ma'am.
This is Jacob Morrison speaking, if that's okay.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Jake.
I've been in a wheelchair many times, sometimes laid back. You need more, you need as much room as possible. So, I don't think making it very small is going to be a good thing.
Yeah, but 6.5 feet is not small. It's good size. Mr. Kinsman, we're still in discussion. Well, actually, the public hearing is closed. You can't, sorry. Unfortunately.
Nazi, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there someone in a wheelchair in the home?
We have an elderly in-law that visits, who's getting worse by the month, and plans to spend time with my wife there this summer.
Okay, so thank you. So then what I would like to say is it's not a permanent resident, someone who's visiting. I think that I stand firm on my comments, and that's all I have to say about it.
Okay, I'm with Veronica on that one.
Okay, I have one other comment. So you mentioned there's a deck on the back side of the house. There are no stairs there. So that's not accessible to the home. There's stairs to the left side. So that's not accessible. There's no typical front door on the home. That is the only main entrance to the house, is that right side of the house.
Okay, thank you.
Nazi, I'd like to amend my motion to limit the width to 6.5 feet
Okay.
by
so-
27 feet.
Okay, so we have a motion by Jim with the standard condition, with the findings, it's not detrimental to the neighborhood, with the condition that the width of the ramp and the deck not to be over 6.5 feet. So we'll have 2 feet setback from the easement. Do I have a second, any more discussion on that conditions? Any other conditions the board would like to impose? Okay, do I have a
Curious,
second? on-
this is Richard Semple.
Yeah, Richard, go ahead,
Can we,
sorry.
can we go to 7 feet?
I think 6.5, well, you could ask for 7. I believe 6.5 is fair.
I was trying to.
When I went down there, I saw how they have to, because of the way the deck ends at the side of the door, it's
Yeah.
very difficult to get to, the person in to turn to get in. So
All right, okay.
I
is
just
7 feet okay?
feel like
Veronica, is 7 feet good for you? That's 4.5 from property line.
Based on Richard's recommendation, having visited the property, I have not. If he thinks that is going to be difficulty because of the angle, and he thinks that half foot is necessary, I don't have any opposition.
Okay, Jimmy, can you fix it to 7 feet?
Absolutely. I might modify amendment to 7 feet rather than 6.5.
All right, so Jake, you good with that?
Yes.
All right, okay, so that's the motion. Do I have a second for Jim's motion?
I'll second.
Second, Richardson.
Second by Veronica, Richard. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Jim?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Veronica?
I
Jake?
Aye.
And myself, aye. It carries with 7 feet wide. Thank you. Next public hearing, 26-21 Swenson Granite Works, special permit and variance for 3120 Cranberry Highway. Jim, you want to read that,
The
please?
zoning board of appeals will hold an online public hearing on May 12th, 2021 at 6:30 PM to consider petition number 26-21 for a special permit and a variance from the requirements of Article 3, Section 320, Article 14, Section 1471, and Article 4, Section 443.1 under the Wareham zoning bylaws to Swenson Granite Works of 369 North State Street, Concord, New Hampshire, 03301, proposing to create a new use on the vacant parcel and create a new landscape hardscape wholesale supply facility located at 3120 Cranberry Highway, Wareham, Massachusetts, that appears on Assessors Map 8, Lot 1004, in the Commercial Strip and MR30 zoning district.
Okay, very well. This matter, Mr. Conti will be sitting on Mr. Cruz's chair. He'll be voting for this. Who's the applicant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is David Duford. I'm the Director of Operations for Swenson Granite in New England.
Yep.
Swenson Granite Works is working with GAF Engineering regarding the application to site one of our facilities at this location. Brian Grady from GAF Engineering can explain the purpose of the application for you tonight.
Okay, very good. Brian?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dave. We're here for this application at 3120 Cranberry Highway. We have the letter, as do you, from Commissioner Aquina, who has reviewed the project, indicating that we need a use variance and also a variance from the Groundwater Protection Overlay District. I just want to point out that we have revised the plan to reduce the impervious surface, so it's below the 15% threshold for the Groundwater Protection District, so that portion of the variance is no longer necessary. So we'll just be discussing the use variance this evening. As I mentioned, or as Dave mentioned, this is for Swenson Granite. They're a hardscape wholesale supply company, and the location where they're looking to site this use is 3120 Cranberry Highway. So it's on the north side of Cranberry Highway. Directly to the north of this property is Barnacle Bills. Directly to the south of the property is a small commercial business. It consists of, I think, Prime Dental and Gold World. And then just southerly from that is 7-Eleven store at the corner of Redbrook Road. The property in total contains 2.6 acres. What's unusual and unique about this property are a couple of things. I think if you can see the angle of the property that comes off of Cranberry Highway, it doesn't come off at a convenient 90 degrees. It makes the layout a bit of a unique situation. And the other situation that's unique for this property is it's one of the larger lots in the area, but it's bisected by the zone line, the commercial zone line to the south and the MR30 zone line to the north. So the purpose of this variance request is to be able to use the lot, which fronts on Cranberry Highway, entirely commercially, and not bisect it and have to abandon the rear portion of the lot, which is approximately 40% of the area. We don't feel that this proposed use is detrimental to the neighborhood. I think you're all familiar with this location. I think it's pretty much entirely cleared of vegetation, and it's directly across the street from Jordan Plaza, and it's in a highly commercialized area. So we don't think it will be a detriment to the neighborhood. We think it meets your requirements under zoning for granting of a use permit. Mr. Duford can give a little better explanation of the proposed use, but I think if you can see the plan there, I don't know if maybe Sonia wants to let me share my screen. I can pull up a plan and maybe a photograph or two. On the plan here, you see some representative photos of their other typical locations. They have 5 other locations in Massachusetts. Their product comes primarily from their own quarry and processing facilities up in New Hampshire. So they have control over that. They have control over their own trucking. They anticipate that maybe 3 to 5 tractor trailers a week would be coming with delivering and unloading product. As I mentioned, it's a wholesale company, so the general public won't be coming here. They'll be selling to contractors. They do have an office building where a homeowner can come in and view their products and have discussions, but the contractor will come up and take that product off the site. They also do a lot of custom work, and that processing sometimes at their facility up in New Hampshire will be direct delivered to the project site. So as I mentioned, it's granite and it's hardscape supplies. So I think if you see in that photo, they have granite fence posts, fire pits, mailboxes, granite lights, paver patios, and they do a lot of custom work as well, monuments and headstones, things of that nature. Mr. Duford can explain their product line a little bit better if you want to get into that detail. But I think everyone knows where this is located. So again, it's just the use variance, the plan you see before you. We've decreased the impervious surface to get below that 15% threshold. So the groundwater protection district variance no longer applies. So if Dave or myself can respond to any questions or comments.
Brian, what's the use variance for?
It's for the commercial use in the MR30 section of the lot. So the zone line is offset 200 feet from Cranberry Highway, and it doesn't follow the property lines. Some towns, I see their zoning line, they make an effort to follow property lines. But here we have a 200-foot uniform setback off Cranberry Highway. So
Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan? Oh, I could see. All right, now. All right, it's a little fine. So
yeah, if Sonia can let me share my screen, I could.
We got it on the screen now. Oh,
Yeah, well, I can bring up mine and maybe enlarge it a little bit.
Okay.
And, so here, can you all see that?
Not yet. There it goes.
Okay, here we go. See it better.
You got it now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so this is Cranberry Highway to the south. This, and 200 feet back is the zone line, this line here. So
right.
That's how the zone was determined. So the use variance here tonight is, this is the MR30 portion of the property. So we want to be able to use the lot beneficially as a commercial property because it is in a highly developed commercial area. This is Barnacle Bill directly to the north. This is a plaza directly to the south occupied by two businesses. Further south of that is the 7-Eleven at the intersection. And directly across the street is Jordan Plaza. Here's the two driveways for Jordan Plaza. So the applicant wants the benefit to be able to use this lot entirely commercially because of the area that it's located in, it being highly developed. So that's why we're here, is to use this MR30 zone portion of the property commercially. And I'll just point out some of the pictures we have on the plan. You know, this is a sign from one of their other facilities, a granite post, granite sign. Again, this is in front of one of their other typical facilities. And this is what they'd be proposing to do here, is kind of display their product as part of the landscaping design and plan that will be developed. So they have granite posts and fencing. And again, another typical sign. We're proposing uplighting for those signs. Let me see. And this is another typical facility of theirs. This is the building that they'll be constructing. Their sign, they'll be using their granite curbing product as part of the layout, granite posts, you can see mailboxes, granite lighting. So that'll be incorporated into these display areas that are proposed. We'll have the granite post and the fencing and display some of the product on either side of these locations.
All right, let me ask you something, Brian. The parking lot, does it need any drainage somewhere? Do you have like some drains, some catch basins in the parking lot?
Yeah, we will be doing that. I had a couple of emails back and forth with Ken today. This doesn't go to the level of site plan or construction drawings. I told Ken that we will certainly do that upon approval. We will be designing drainage for this site. We will have to construct compliant Mass DOT access driveways with the appropriate radiuses. What's shown here is, as you all know, Cranberry Highway is currently under reconstruction. So what we show here is the access ways as shown on their construction drawing. So they currently have 3 designed access points into this lot. There's the middle one, and they have another one up here. So, you know, we called and questioned that, and they said, well, these are just construction drawings and construction entrances. They're not compliant access curb cuts. So we would need to comply with that. So we will be coming up with all those compliant drawings, and you can certainly condition your approval on that with appropriate review for landscaping plan, buffers, stormwater design, all of the above.
So I guess what you're looking from us today, a use variance, so you could go to work and do all the design, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Now going back to Red Brook Road, is it possible you could pave the apron on the plan? I mean, we don't want dirt going on the road.
It is paved.
We do show a paved apron. We could go a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe a little bit
Go
more.
up to that. We're proposing after hours. We have proposed there are granite posts with chains on either side, so we could bring that pavement up to like this granite post fence line.
Okay. So if the board grants you a use variance, we come back with a mini site plan, I would assume, like landscape and curb.
Yeah, depending how you condition that, approval by Ken or Mr. Aquina, or however you condition that, or come back before you, however you wish to approach that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, very well. So start by Jim. What do you think, Jim?
I think it's a good use of the site. I'd be happy to see it happen. I'm all set. I'm ready to go and say yes. Give them their variance. So they don't need the special permit because they reduce the amount of impervious. I'm good with it.
Okay. With Chris Conte. Chris, what do you think?
I agree with Jim. I'm okay, fine with the use variance on this. I did look up their site and I looked up all their other locations, and it did look like it would fit in well there, I think.
Okay, Jake.
I think it looks great.
Veronica.
I think it's a good use of the area. I do have something that I would like to see though. At that back upper left corner, there's a 20-foot landscape buffer. I'm sorry if it was already said, but is there a residential property right on the other side of that?
Yes, that's why it's 20 feet, because it abuts a residential use, and this is the existing tree line. So that's currently vegetated. We won't be altering that. Most of the site is cleared, as you're aware. The tree line kind of runs up here, but this is commercial use, so the setback's only 10 feet. But where it abuts the residential use, we will maintain that 20 feet.
Okay, and so the only thing that I would ask, I don't know what that what the buffer currently looks like, but it'd be nice to see some kind of an evergreen there between the residential lot that's at the back of that. Like, Nazi, what do you have in your yard in front that's always green?
Giant arborvitae. Well, we're gonna ask them, Veronica, if we grant them the use variance, come back with landscape and plan.
Okay.
Some sort of site plan.
Yeah, because that's something I'd like to see. If we're gonna make a residential lot into a commercial use, that the residential lot beside it should not have to be looking at.
Right, we will
commercial.
definitely, I would definitely be leaning more for a site plan, like mini site plan review, like we said. All right, that being said, you wanna, before we close, Brian, on the use variance only tonight, so would you like to add anything?
No, I'm all set. If you have any questions from myself or from Dave from Swenson, we're available, but we're all set otherwise.
All right, anyone in the public want to speak in favor of this project? Anyone want to speak against this project? Okay, I hear none. Okay, that being said, can we move to close?
So moved.
I have a motion to close by Jim. Do I have a second?
I second Chris Conti.
Second by Chris. All in favor, say aye. Jim,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jake.
Aye.
Veronica,
Aye.
and myself, aye. It's closed. Now we're just gonna act on the use variance.
I move to grant a use variance to the R30, to the 30, to the residential section of this property.
Okay, under the conditions, they come back for a.
Then the conditions come back on any site plan. Yep.
Okay, very well. Do I have a second on that or a discussion?
I second Chris Conti.
Second by Chris. All in favor, say aye. Chris,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Jake,
Aye.
Veronica,
Aye.
and myself is aye. The use variance carried. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
and
you all very
board.
much.
Thank you. Very welcome. Bye.
Something on what they call like.
All right. Last one. 27-21, Peter Luciani.
This right now, Keith.
Special permit, 3095 Cranberry Highway.
The zoning board of appeals will hold an online public hearing on May 12th, 2021 at 6:30 PM to consider petition number 27-21 for a special permit from the requirements of Article 3, Section 320 and Article 14, Section 1471 under the Wareham zoning bylaws to Peter Luciani, care of Jillian Morton, attorney of 184 Main Street, Wareham, Mass, proposing to change the use of the building in order to expand the use of the existing business to include manufacturing components where product will be created within the facility located at 3095 Cranberry Highway, Wareham, Mass, on Assessors Map 10, Lot 1019 in the Commercial Strip zoning district.
Okay, very well. Counselor, it's yours.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Attorney Jillian Morton, 184 Main Street. Today, we're seeking a special permit for my client, Peter Luciani, who owns and operates Lucy Gold LLC. The property owner, Mr. Spillane, I believe he was on earlier. I'm not sure if he's on now. It's a little bit later now, but I hope that you were able to read through your materials and see the letter in there from the property owner, Mr. Luciani rents currently. So what we're looking to do here is to get to the next level in my client's business, be able to manufacture on site. And I was hopefully you were able to look at some of the materials, the videos I sent regarding the manufacturing, because this isn't large scale manufacturing, exposed flames, things like that. His business is very specific. It's customized egress solutions. So those are custom bulkheads. He's here as well to be able to speak on that. It's a very customizable business and specific and very much wanted right now with all the improvements going on. So in the CS district, and as you can see in the denial letter, the commissioner did properly deny that and requested that we get this special permit in front of you to be able to review. So we're looking to get several machines in there. In my letter, I did note too, I know a concern might be regarding safety, that it does have a full sprinkler system that actually was just, I think a few months ago, looked at by the fire department as well. And I would argue under the special permit standard here, this is not detrimental to the neighborhood. This is located surrounding many other businesses. It's right next to Spillane's business. It's over near several used car lots. It's a very commercialized area with the understanding that this zoning law is in place to make sure there isn't large scale manufacturing, but that's not the case. What's happening here, this is going to be controlled precision welding. Also, there's just a laser cutting machine. I had to educate myself as well on these specialized machines that Mr. Luciani is looking to have on the premises. I encourage you, if you were able to read through Mr. Spillane's letter, it was very enlightening regarding manufacturing. You know, there's large scale, there's bulk manufacturing, but this is a specific use that we're looking to have at the premises. So as far as the standard of it's detrimental to the neighborhood, there will be no hazardous waste. I know that might be a concern. Noise, these are very quiet machines. And like I said, around surrounding the area, there's already large scale welding and other things that are happening nearby. So I hope you were able to look at some of the pictures of my client's showroom too. It's very neat. And then there's the back room where he is able to do the work that he needs to do. So we're happy to answer any and all questions. Like I said, Mr. Luciani is here as well to if there's specifics regarding the actual manufacturing and what's going to be happening using these machines. He's the expert. But as far as applying to the zoning laws and what we're seeking, I do think this is applicable in our zoning laws and should be approved under the special permit standard. Thank you.
Okay, very well. Mr. Luciani, want to tell us how you operate?
Yes, thanks for having me here tonight. So basically,
I need your name and address for the record.
Oh, I'm Peter Luciani, and it's 3095 Cranberry Highway is the property location. And I live in 145 Main Street, Buzzards Bay.
Okay.
All right. So I specialize in hatches. I started out, I designed a bulkhead system out of aluminum. And then over time, and I'm on my 15th year in business, customers came to me and asked me to make a bulkhead to fit an odd size opening. And then they said, geez, I'd like to build a deck over in my bulkhead. And I designed a deck hatch. So the whole deck opens up on pistons and you can get your egress. And so it's expanded to this specialty type business where each unit is designed and constructed as a one-off. So we're not in there building 1,000 bulkheads and shipping them off to all different distributors. We actually design them. We want to fabricate them. We deliver them, we install them, we warranty them. So we're a one-stop shopping type business. And we're growing, and it's time for me to plan for my next step and have the location where I had storage for some pieces that we have made. And I built there's a little showroom there, and we had our office, and we're growing. And I approached Dave Spillane on if there was a possibility, if I stayed there, if I could, turn this into a small operation to get, my next level of business going. And he said, yeah, and here we are now trying to see if this could work out for us.
All right, very well. I'm looking at that's a strip commercial, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, we're right next to Sullivan Tires on the left.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna start with Jimmy, and this one, Mr. Sample, we saw on this matter. He'll be voting on this. Mr. Sample. So, Jimmy, why don't we start by you? I'm looking at sign in the book quick.
I'm very familiar with the operation. I know both Mr. Luciani and Mr. Spillane. Spillane owns both properties, Spillane's Automotive and this property as an income property. There is a possibility that Luciani may grow and want to take over Spillane's building someday, but that's in Mr. Spillane's letter. I think it would be a good idea for somebody to, if Mr. Spillane is present, I'd like to have him read his own letter, but if not, I'd like to have his letter read into the record. Very familiar with this operation. I'm very in favor of what he's requesting. I'd like to say to the other members of the board that although this equipment that he's buying looks heavy duty and industrial, it is kind of a cottage industry. If you know more about what he's doing, it's very similar to what Chris Conti's doing with sails and canvases up the road in the same zone. So I don't find it to be detrimental to the neighborhood, and I think I would encourage Mr. Luciani to continue on the way he's going.
Okay. I'm looking at the zoning book because I did the permit myself a while ago. Under the zoning book, if he manufactures a product that's produced on the premises, the major of the portion of which are sold on the premises, on the premises, which I'm assuming he's selling them right out of there, right? Mr. Luciani, you're gonna sell them right out of the place.
Yeah,
right?
yes, we have a few walk-ins. Most of our
Right.
business is online.
Right, so it's up, the sales operated, it's gonna be operated from that location.
Correct.
So he
Correct.
doesn't need a variance as the commissioner has. He only needs a special permit. Because if somebody can look at page 12, it clearly says manufacturing of products produced on the premises, the major portion of which are sold on premises from the producer to consumer on a strip commercial is special permit. So I don't think he needs a variance.
Page 12 of the zoning bylaw?
Page 12, Counselor, do you have a chance to look at it? So-
Yes, yes, Mr. Chairman, and that's why you can see my petition is specifically for a special permit. I'm of the same opinion.
Okay. All right.
I
let me-
just looked, Nazir, I agree as well.
All right, pass to Richard. Richard, what do you think? While everybody looks at it.
I agree with Jim on what Jim said, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Veronica? Jake?
Veronica, you're muted.
Jake?
Oh,
Okay,
Veronica.
Veronica, back to you. Veronica, what do you think?
okay. I read Mr. Spillane's letter. It was very convincing. I would like to take the time to look at Attorney Morton's videos. I know she had sent some of the machinery that's being proposed. I haven't had a chance to look at that. And I do like the fact that Nazir, your comment about retail is happening there, because in my mind, strip commercial, you want to kind of keep that foot traffic in and out for the rest of the neighborhood, because that's what it's intended to do. So if this were strictly manufacturing, I wouldn't be quite as open to it. But I right now I'm looking very favorably at it, but I just would like a little time to review it all together.
Okay, Jake?
I think it looks great.
Okay, very well. I want to go to the public. Anyone want to speak in favor of this project? Hear none. Anyone against this project? Okay, I hear none. All right, we go back to discussion with the board. So what do you like to see, Veronica? You want to continue it? See more of the video? You want to take a few minutes to look at it? What do you want?
I would actually like, if the board is in agreement, I would like just a little time to review it. And then if there are any recommendations, they can be made. But right now, I don't feel like there's anything that I could necessarily contribute, I guess, knowledgeably, because I haven't looked at any of all of it.
Mr. Luciani, how are you in time? Are you pressed on time, or you can continue for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, we're first on time because, I'm putting together business loans to purchase equipment, and we're really trying to move fast. This was delayed a month or so already, this meeting, so it's already put me back a month. The equipment, again, like the laser, it's a small flame. I mean, probably an inch. Even the welding, the TIG welding, there's no exhaust, there's no sparks. It's probably a half inch of flames. The press brakes, there's no noise. The laser cuts the metal, you bring it over to another machine that just bends it, and then you weld, the spots that need to be welded. A lot of our product, I developed a hurricane shutter system. There is no welding. It's just breaking and then bending. So it's a simple manufacturing. There's not any danger to it, and there's not, it's, the safety aspect of fire,
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
I don't think it's very noisy, the process, so.
Yeah, if it's helpful,
What do
it's a 4-minute video. If Ms. Debonese wants to see it, or just to see the picture, at least of some of them. They're short little videos.
Yeah, I was trying to look at the pictures. Some of them were, I think this is the one, it was a little bit dark. I couldn't really.
Mr. Chair, can I speak too?
Sure, right, Chris.
So, I've been involved in CAD CAM design and computer aided manufacturing for like 35 years now. So I'm familiar from what I saw in some of the videos, and I think it's a go. I'm all for it, and I'm in agreement with it.
Right. It's a great location. People love stopping and coming in. We want to landscape it. The next step this year, we want to really make it nice and landscape the front. And, if I get approval, then obviously I get more interest in fixing the place up,
So that equipment, will you be like creating all the models and stuff that you want to create on the sheet metal?
Yeah. And we're
then-
doing a lot of, prototype ideas. I have some other projects that we're building more products, and, we're using other manufacturers. We don't have the ability to build something fast and show it and see if it works. And then we can send it, say, to another manufacturer if we sell some product. So it's a prototype type, atmosphere also for all these other products I've developed. So it's exciting, stressful, but exciting.
Counselor, let me ask you a question. I'm reading the commissioner letter. Do you have his letter?
Yes.
Do we have to overturn his decision on Article 14, or we just act on Article 3? What do you think?
I think Article 3 suffices.
We just act on it. We don't have to overturn the 14.
Right, it's underlined. It requires a special permit. I think if he thought it was on the variance standard, he would have also bolded that.
All right, very good. All right, that being said, what's the wishes of the board? Want to go forward tonight?
I don't want to delay anything. I'll just take the recommendations of the board and trust that their wisdom is adequate.
All right, very well. That being said, you guys want to discuss anything before we move to close?
Did we hear from Rick Semple at all during this? I know he's not voting on this one, but he's sitting.
Yeah, he did say something.
I wasn't paying attention.
Richard, want to say something?
I think he is voting.
He
I
is
am
voting.
voting. I am voting, and I did say, and I think I was in agreement with most of what Jim said.
I'm sorry, it was, so, sorry.
Is it Mr. Semple or is it Richard? What do we, is it Mr. Akabachi?
Yeah, I got a guy here who wants me to go play with him, and I'm not paying attention. I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
All right, we have a motion by Jim to close 27-21. Do I have a second on that?
I second Richard Semple.
Second by Richard. All in favor, say aye. Richard?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
Mr. Akabachi?
Aye.
And myself, as aye. Close. Okay, now the wishes on the special permit.
Make a motion to grant a special permit as requested with standard conditions. No imposing conditions applied.
Okay, and I'm assuming the findings will be it's not detrimental to the neighborhood. Okay, I have a motion by Jim. Do I have a second on that?
Second, Jacob Morrison.
Second by Jake. All in favor, say aye. Jake?
Aye.
Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Richard?
Aye.
And myself, aye. It carries. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Council.
you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank
Make a
you.
motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn by Jim. Do I have a second?
I
No.
second.
Second by
Everyone.
with the ladies. So we go by Veronica. All in favor, say aye. Veronica?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Jake? And myself is aye. All right.
Good
Thank
night,
you very
all.
much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
And have a good night. You're very welcome.
Good
Okay.
luck.